And all right, we are live. Welcome everyone to another episode of Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Mekel Kasanova podcast. I'm your host, Mekel Kasanova, and I have the honor of having the one, the only PeteFighter of StreetFighterLegacy. Man, thank you so much for being on the show, man.
Thank you so much for having me. This is crazy. This is my first podcast I've ever done. So you've popped my podcast cherry. You've popped the cherry. This is the first one, so I'm excited. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I was talking to a lot of my friends on Discord about it, and I was like, yeah, I'm not nervous. And then they were like, oh yeah, like, you know, good luck and stuff. And I'm like, now you're making me nervous.
Oh, well, you know, it's always a new experience. It definitely, when you're being interviewed, it's such a bit of a nerve-wracking experience. And I got my first interview a couple weeks ago where someone had me on their podcast, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say.
I usually ask the questions. Yeah. Out of my comfort zone. Yeah.
Dude, I love that shirt. Where'd you get it?
It's actually, I made it myself.
Really?
Yes, I made these. I was actually, bit of a weird story, but I was
tell it.
That's what we're here for. We're here to talk about things. I was looking to make enamel pins because I went to the conventions last year. I was at Evo and San Diego Comic-Con and things, and people were coming up to me and being like, oh my God, like, it's so good to meet you. And I was like, oh, and I really wish I had something that I could have given them, you know? So this time I've come prepared, and I've made like little like enamel pins of Blanka Chan, who's kind of become sort of my unofficial mascot. So I thought he's cute. So I doodled him up. I'm not an amazing artist like all of my millions of friends that are like phenomenal artists, but I was like, he's not too hard to draw, so I doodled him up, and I turned him into, I've actually got one here. They just came in, so I don't know if you can see. Little I'll send you one. So a little limited edition Blanka Chan pin. So if you find me at Capcom Cup, you can get one of these. But I also was like, oh, I kind of wanted to see what it looked like on a shirt. So they have a new service on Twitch where you can, like, with Streamlabs, and you can upload designs, and then people can buy them from your shop. So I put the shirt on. It's on my shop, but I mean, like, nobody's bought one, but I mean, like, I have one just for fun. So
hey, what you should do and I can add this to the link in the description below for not only the video, but when it goes on the podcast for like iTunes and whatnot, because that way you can, you know, people will be able to click on it and be like, I want that Blanka Chan shirt. That's nice, dude. I actually thought that I was thinking, I'm like, man, did Tay draw that? Because that's really good.
This is me, actually. No, Tay would have done a way better job than me. Like, Tay is like, like, she's my girl. Like, I love her. We were roomies in Evo, so we were bunk buddies at Evo. Like, I was helping her like bag things up and stuff, you know, fold up the Cody body pillow. You know?
Man, that Cody pillow was like super amazing. She sold out. What, dude, the first or second day
was flying. I couldn't. She was like, the day we got there, she was like, oh, I don't think anyone's gonna buy this. I was like, you're gonna sell out in like 20 minutes. I was like, people are gonna be like going nuts for it. And she's like, oh, I'm not sure. I was like, you are gonna sell out. And like, by the second day, it was like gone. She had like Momochi like dry humping it. She had, like, I mean, there's pictures of it. It's like crazy. Like, everyone was like, I mean, I think she's doing a giveaway for it right now. Actually, just to plug Tay.
I think so. Yeah.
She's doing a giveaway for it on her Twitter because she just hit 3,000 followers, I think, or something on Twitter. So if you go over to her Twitter, Zonknuckle, I think you can win one right now. So go and check that out, because it's definitely. I'm kind of bummed. I was like, oh, I should pick one up, and then I was like, because I feel like it's a part of history, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much I want to snuggle up to Cody at night, but I mean, it's like, it's part of, and it's definitely. definitely part of history, and it's so Tay, and that's what I love about it. Like, it's just her, like, to a T. So, so yeah, she's one hell of an artist, and I like really admire her. Like, but there's so many people I admire out there, especially in the art community and stuff. So
definitely, man.
I'll get to them later.
All right. Well, Pete, go ahead and give an introduction and, you know, plug like your channel on Twitch, plug all your outlets. Tell people where they can stalk you.
Where they can stalk me. Well, hello, everyone. My main outlet, my original channel was StreetFighterLegacy, and it was originally on Instagram. And, I'm useless at this. You suck. So it was originally on Instagram, and since then we've spread to Facebook, Twitter, and then it's kind of expanded beyond that now. And like, I created a multi-channel thing for me as well. So now you can follow me on PeteFighter on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram as well. So you can follow me there. It's kind of more of my own life, but I tend to post up a lot of gaming stuff as well. It's mainly my gaming stuff. Like, I do have like a personal Instagram, but I like abandoned it like a year and a half ago. Like, I just wrote on there, I said like, because I have so many Instagrams now.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even have them open. I think they allow you to have like 5.
I think, so, yeah, total 5.
So
yeah.
I was just like, to my like actual one that I'd had that was just, you know, pictures of my cat, and well, my cat when I was growing up, and, you know, like my friends and stuff. I was like, dude, it's over. I'm out. Like, I can't keep up with all this. So I was like, everyone can unfollow me here and follow me in other ones. So, but yeah, so PeteFighter, StreetFighterLegacy, and I also have RivalSchoolsLegacy, because I wanted to show some love for Rival Schools. As you know, I'm a big fan of Rival Schools. And then I kind of got bullied into doing a Darkstalkers Legacy page. I like Darkstalkers, I really do, but it's not one of my like all-time faves.
Yeah.
But I think people were like, okay, you've kind of like cornered the market of Street Fighter and Rival Schools, so they're like, when's Darkstalkers coming? I was like, fine, I'll do it. So I'm not as up to date on that one. I kind of only update it like once a week. I feel really bad. I always kind of forget about that one. But my main one's Street Fighter Legacy, and my own personal one. So,
and you're also the #1 Street Fighter fan page in the world. How does that feel? Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous.
It kind of I don't even know. Like, I don't feel like I don't know. It's really weird. I don't know. I don't even really know. I don't even know how it happened. It's like, it just happened, and I was like, what's going on here? It was just a really bizarre experience. It literally came out of like, I was looking for a Street Fighter page to follow on Instagram, and and I couldn't find one. There was no official one at the time.
Mm-hmm.
There was they had a Capcom Unity page, but I followed it already, but it wasn't specifically geared. You know, it was like, oh, Monster Hunter, Mega Man. And as much as I like all those other franchises, I wanted sort of like my daily dose of like some cool art and maybe a bit of info or whatever. And I could not find one. And there was a couple on there that I was like, oh, this looks cool. But they've been dead for like 2 years. So I was like, I'm not going to follow an Instagram that hasn't been updated since like 2013, you know? Like,
what?
So I was just like, oh, there isn't one. And I went, I'll just start one for fun. It can be like a little hobby, you know? So I just started posting kind of once a day, and maybe a couple of times a day, towards the beginning anyway. And then it just started growing, and people started following, and I was like, oh my God, I got like 50 followers. Wow, that's cool. That's more than my own account, you know? And then like 100, 1,000, a couple of thousand. I was like, oh my God. And then it kind of snowballed from there. And it just kind of, I can kind of target it down to the point where, like, I used to use a lot of the Udon artists' work. people like Edwin, Iron Pinky, and Omar, and Chamba, and people like this. And I'd always tag them in the pictures and say, you know, because I obviously, like, especially I want people to know, because there's a lot of pages there that just post a picture and then they don't say who it's by. You're like, but who's this by? I want to know more. I want to see more of their work. So I'd always definitely reference it back to certain people. And sometimes I would spend hours and hours and hours trying to find, I'd find a picture on Google image search, and I'd spend, like, you know, 2 hours trying to find the source image on like, I was doing that catfish thing, you know, like reverse image searching and like, like I love catfish, trying to find where the image had come from originally and stuff. So I think that helped a lot, because I know that Iron Pinky, like Edwin, really took notice of that, and then he started shouting out the page, going like, "Hey, if you want to follow a cool Street Fighter page, like follow this page." So we would jump like quite considerably when he did that for me. So it was cool of him, you know, like, and like Edwin's a friend now. Like I hung out with him quite a few times and stuff, and I was at San Diego Comic-Con with the Udon guys. So it was cool. Like it's really, he's amazing, and like, so I really thank him for that. So, and some of the other pages as well, like Omar and stuff, because they helped me out a lot as well too. So
right, so like what no, like, so what has been like your experience like with like your journey from creating, you know, the Street Fighter Legacy page, also the Rival, because I really want you to go in on the Rival Schools page too, because I'm a big Rival Schools fan, and I really feel like you're the only person that's putting out anything really for that.
Yeah, with the Rival Schools thing came a little bit later, because I was kind of incorporating kind of like Rival Schools, Final Fight, because I mean, they're all from the same universe, you know, they all live within the same universe. So that I was always incorporating the Rival Schools stuff in there. And then I was just like, do you know what? I love Rival Schools. And I know there's other people out there too that do. So I was just like, I'm just going to start the Rival Schools page. Surprisingly, there's been a lot of love at the moment. My most recent thing was to tweet the producer of Hideki Itsuno, is that his name? Yeah. I think right. I tweeted to him, because I've had some conversations with him, and over social media and in instant messaging and stuff, because I've asked him a couple of things and stuff, and especially when we were doing the 20th anniversary art book that we did, I wanted to maybe get like a little quote from him or something, but he was like, I'd really love to, and I love what you're doing, but because it's not official, I can't officially say anything. And I was like, no, but he did see it and he approved of it and he really enjoyed it. So, but he couldn't officially comment within it. So I was like, I understand, you know, he works for the company and blah, blah, blah. So, but my thing now, I want people to get on this and jump on with me, is that I want to start a Kickstarter. I tweeted him, I was like, how much would it cost to get a port of Project Justice on PS4 or Xbox One or Switch or whatever? And can we do a Kickstarter for it? Like, and show there's interest for it. Because if they have the money up front for the production, then any sales after that is kind of a bonus for them. And I mean, especially for these kind of older games, like, people port them fairly simply, I would have thought. It's not... It's not like they're creating a game from scratch. I'm not asking for an HD remaster. I'm just asking for a port. That's all I want. And I was like, how much? How much? And we'll do a Kickstarter. And he liked the tweet, but he didn't respond to me. So I was like, but,
I mean, you would think like they would be willing to re-release that, because they're remastering almost everything else. But that, well, and Dino Crisis too, that hasn't had any love in years. But
yeah, I think from what I understand and what I've read about it online and stuff, is that there's something to do with the rights. And and I know from Matt. Do you know Matt Moylan from Udon? He does all their like publishing and stuff for Udon Comics and stuff.
I'm familiar with the name. I don't know him personally, but I'm familiar.
Yeah, I spent some time with him at Comic-Con, and he told me that they don't actually own the rights to a couple of the characters in Rival Schools. They were it's a similar situation that they had with Karin. They were created by somebody else and then brought into the game. So then getting the rights for those characters is going to be complicated, I think. I mean, they obviously wanted Karin badly for Street Fighter V, so it was, they risked it for the biscuit, as we say. Like they were like, okay, we're going to lay down the funds and buy her out and get her back. Mm-hmm. But I think for some of the characters in Rival Schools, they've been designed by people that are no longer with the company. And, if they pay out all this money to get this character back in the game, then it doesn't sell. Yeah. They're like out of pocket. It's like, it's a risk. It's a gamble. So I can kind of understand why they're a bit apprehensive of it. But I mean, what I've always said, because people are quite vocal about it and make quite a lot of noise about wanting a new Rival Schools, and I'm like, make a lot of noise on social media. They pay attention to it. Like, if people are out there going, I want it, they'll be like, oh, there's a demand for it. If people would just sit back and go, oh yeah, I'd quite like it, but it's never going to happen. Then, it's not going to happen because nobody's out there being vocal about it. So that's why I'm quite outspoken and quite vocal on social media about, tagging the development team and everything, saying like, when's it happening? Okay, you're done with Devil May Cry 5 now. Who cares about that? When's Rival Schools?
Like, even with that, like with Devil May Cry 5, like, okay, so this is probably going to be controversial for me to say, but I feel like people that are like, oh man, I don't know why they didn't just go with Devil May Cry 5. I'm like, well, if you look back to 2008 when Devil May Cry 4 came out, people kind of crapped all over that game and didn't really buy it. So of course they did the reboot route, because a lot of the games, like a lot of classic series around the like 2009, 2010 or so, they were all doing reboots. Because it's like, we have to reach a new audience. Like, people wanted more gritty, more realism. That's why Bionic Commando went more realistic, and even whatchamacallit, Castlevania went more realistic. But then the fans are like, no, we want the old style. Well, you got to buy it. You can't want something and not pay for it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true of like everyone's complaining about the Darkstalkers franchise as well, and they're like, oh, we want the new one, we want a new one. When's it happening? And then they released, the Darkstalkers, what was it called?
The Dark Tower or something like that?
Darkstalkers the one that they brought out on the PS3.
Oh, yeah. Dark Chronicle.
Yeah, they brought out this, and it was like kind of a remastery kind of it. But apparently it sold so badly that that's not going to fund they're like, oh, well, there's no demand for even this, so why are we going to bring out a new one? I mean, like, they can spit out a new version of Street Fighter 2 every year and people will still buy it.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like, I bought it like 1 million times. I'm like, I have a copy of Street Fighter 2. Boop, there we go. But that's the thing. Like, I think, like, especially with the Darkstalkers DLC for Street Fighter 5, that would be the best way to show that people are interested in new Darkstalkers game at the moment, is if people go out and buy those costumes. Yeah. Because that will show an interest in those characters, in that franchise in general,
Yeah. And I think, like, you and I understand, like, the business aspect of the gaming world when it comes to how these developers work. I think a lot of people, I don't think they understand it, because I see it also with fans wanting like a new they want a new King of Fighters 15. Like, I know people that are actually working on King of Fighters 15, but they're like, we're kind of hesitant to push out 15 when 14 came out and it died. It died really quickly. So it's like,
and especially now Capcom's been burned so badly by Marvel vs. Capcom. I think they're going to be really, really, really apprehensive about putting out any more fighter titles.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everyone was like, Marvel when, Marvel when, Marvel when.
Yep.
It was the theme, it was everything. Everyone was so hyped for it, and it came out, and everyone went, I don't care.
You know,
it died within a year, you know? Like, when it got dropped from Evo, I was like...
Right?
I was like, oh, that's it, it's gone.
You know, what's funny is like, you have people like Maximilian who are saying like, this is fundamentally a great game, but people just... They don't want to play it. And then and it's one thing, like for me, like I do a lot of reviews and content creation. And, for me, I've noticed that when a lot of content creators bash something, there's kind of a herd mentality where people they won't touch it. They'll never even try it because this person said this game was horrible. I'm seeing a lot of that currently with the Neo Geo Mini. And a lot of people are like, oh, this is horrible. I'm over here playing it like, this is awesome. It's arcade perfect. But a lot of the people that are reviewing it, one, don't really like fighting games. And I'm in Discord groups with them where they're like, oh, I don't really like fighting games. I'm like, okay, so why are you telling people not to buy it?
Yeah. It's like,
No, go ahead.
I think that's it is really interesting that you say that. Like, the whole power of social media now is like, it's nuts, and influencers and stuff. Like, I follow people and they're like showing off something. I'm like, damn, where can I get one of them? You know, like it is so, you see somebody that you like or you're interested in, and you see them with it, or if they say it's good, then it's great. And if they don't say it's good, then it's out. Like, it's really, and I'm as guilty of that as everybody else. And I think I can't blame people for that, because I'm guilty of it as well. If somebody that I look up to and respect online says something's trash, I probably won't go out and buy it, even if I was excited for it,
Yeah.
Or I'll try before I buy, if I'm still really hyped. Like, I mean, I can see, we talked about it earlier, but like, if somebody said the new Pokemon game was trash, and I would still have gone and bought it. I had to have it. It's like if Street Fighter 5 had been reviewed and it said it was trash, which people were trashing it at the beginning and still are, but I mean, I still went out and bought it, like, because I wanted to play it for myself, but that's me, and it's, I had to play it, so I had to try it for myself. So,
what are your thoughts on Street Fighter 5? Actually,
I think it's a great game. I think it was very unfinished at first. I think they really rushed it out a little bit earlier than they should have done, and I think that they put far too much emphasis on the esports of it. I can understand why they did from a business point of view and from that perspective, but then it really alienated like the casual player, like myself. Like, all I wanted to do was play in arcade mode, get to the end and be like, yeah, I'm the best, I win. I don't want to go online and get my ass handed to me by a 5-year-old, But like, that's the thing. I don't want to go, I'm like, oh yeah, look at me in my super bronze, woo, oh yeah, I got beaten by somebody that's 10 years old, and then it's going to send me horrible messages afterwards in PS Network, like, you're trash. I'm like, thanks, I know, I'm crying. How old are you? 5.5, brilliant. So I think that really alienated a lot of people at the beginning, and but fundamentally, I think it's a good looking game. Some of the choices are a bit weird. I mean, they haven't fixed Ken's face. They could have done something about that by now.
Or his banana hair.
The banana hair. I mean, the eyes are just like I feel like it's taking part of my soul every time he's up on the screen. Like, it's just creepy as hell. And
he looks better in Smash than he does in Street Fighter.
Yeah, I mean, like, some of the win poses as well, I'm just a bit like, really? Like, what's the one that always gets me? And I'm just like, oh, it's the Chun-Li one. When Chun-Li wins, she's putting this like weird face that she looks like somebody just farted on her. She's like just like in her general direction. She's like, I win. please don't fart at me. You know, like it's weird. Like she's got this weird half smirk. And I went back to Street Fighter 4 recently, and like they all look so gorgeous. Like they all look brilliant, you know? Like all the facial expressions when they're in their win poses at the end, like they can do it. But it's just like, why didn't they do it? And it's the thing, like, I know they did it on a new engine and everything, but it's the thing, like, even on the thing, like Laura's like this on the screen and like her hair's coming like out of her armpits. I'm like, dude, fix that. Like, you know, it's going to be the same every time when she's on the screen in that thing. You might have to cheat the code a bit to make it not do that. But I'm just a bit like, sometimes it looks amazing and it looks gorgeous. And then other times I'm like, ooh, what is that? But that's just me. But I mean, gameplay wise, like I enjoy it. Like I don't play it as much as I have with other Street Fighters. It hasn't kept me coming back for more. When Arcade Edition came out, I was like, okay. But I felt for me at that point, it was kind of like a little bit too, like the initial hype of it had like worn off. So I wasn't like, I've got to sit and like, you know, grind this for hours. I was kind of like, oh yeah, I'll play a couple of arcade modes. I'll go through. Oh, I've got a cool artwork. Cool, nice. Okay, I'm gonna go back to something else now. You know, so I don't know. I feel like they focus too much on the esports thing, like at the beginning. You know.
Yeah.
And from a business point of view, I mean, it makes sense. Because they've got all these high tier players that are celebs now, and they need to get paid, and you know, like they've got people that depend on this. And I mean, it was really interesting for me actually when I went to Evo. It was my first Evo, and it was my first time at sort of like I've always sort of like covered Evo and like, you know, been watching it and stuff, but it was my first time actually physically being in there, like sat in the seats and watching it. And we got there just as the Dragon Ball Z, the Dragon Ball Fighters, how I always say Dragon Ball Z Fighters, I always say it wrong, when that was finishing. And like the arena was kind of empty, and then Street Fighter started, and it was like everyone like came running in, and it was like packed. I was like, where did all these people come from? Like, it was nuts. So even though people trash the game, there's still like an immense amount of people watching it and interested in it, which I think is still really cool. As much as people bash it online or whatever, like people are still interested in it. People still want to see it played. And I think, you know, they're doing well capitalizing on that still. So it's, they're doing a good job, I think. They're playing it right, I think, for now. So we'll see when season 4 comes out.
Yeah. What do you think of the exclusivity for it being on PS4 only versus being on Xbox? 'Cause I feel like it was most played, like Street Fighter 4 is most played on Xbox 360 than it was on PS3. So I think that really hurt them making it only on PlayStation.
Yeah, I think it was a very clever move by PlayStation when they were like, we're going to put up the money to make this game, and Capcom went, okay. But then I think it's had a backlash on Capcom in the longevity. I can't say it, longevity of the game. You know, it's. I think it hasn't reached as far of an audience, you know, as it could have done if it had been released on every thing. But I mean, then you've always got the PC elitists that are like, oh, well, I play it on PC. You're like, shut up, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I know it for me, it really shocked me when they were like, oh, yeah, this is going to be PlayStation exclusive. I was like, because at the time when that came out, I was actually working for Microsoft, and up in Seattle, I was in Microsoft Game Studios.
Oh, nice.
And you know, a lot of the staff there and the people around, when that announcement came out, a lot of people were upset. They're like, yeah, we got Killer Instinct, but we want Street Fighter. And it's like, nope, no, you're not getting it. And Killer Instinct, don't get me wrong, Killer Instinct is a great game, but it's not Street Fighter. So
yeah, it's I think especially with Street Fighter, it's like one of those timeless things now. There's never ever going to be another Street Fighter. It's the original. It's the one, you know. The characters are so iconic, and you know, you can just see that the reach throughout the whole of sort of pop culture. Even down to things like, you know, the new Wreck-It Ralph movie, like, you know, they've got them in there. You know, I've seen, like, I haven't seen the movie yet, but people have been sending me like screenshots, being like, oh look, Chun-Li's in it. Oh, but you know, like, they're so recognizable, like, to everyone. Yeah. That it's always going to be Street Fighter. You know, it can't, it can never be replaced. As much as other games are great, and they haven't got to that iconic status, I think, that Street Fighter has, you know, within, that's saturated the whole of pop culture, you know? Yeah. You see that in, like, especially like clothing brands and stuff now, like Bait and stuff. They do, like, lines of, like, Street Fighter clothing, and, like, Insurgo and all these guys, you know, they do, like, apparel that's for, like, everyday stuff. You know, there's a shop here in Europe called Primark, and I was in there like maybe a couple of weeks ago, and they had like gaming kind of like pajamas, and they had like Mario, they had Mario ones, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Street Fighter. I was like, oh, you know, like that's the thing. You're not going to see like Mortal Kombat ones, you know. You're not. That's the thing. It's like, it is very famous, but it's not reached that level of, you know, iconic kind of status that, you know, that Street Fighter has. Yeah. You know, you can put Ryu on something and people know who it is. They're like, yeah, that's Ryu. Ryu or you know, Akira from Virtua Fighter, and people were like, Ryu. What? You know, that's the thing. It's like, it's been copied so broadly that, you know, people are like, oh, that's Chun-Li. You're like, no, it's not. Like, no, that's Pai Chan from Virtua Fighter. That's exactly, you know, like, they're all like clones of, you know, and Street Fighter's guilty of that, of taking ideas back, you know, from other games as well. I'm not saying that they're not, but okay, we know Sakura was based off of Yuri Sakazaki. Yeah, we know. Yeah, we got it. Yeah, but yeah, they I think that level of stature is just like, it's going to be hard to ever be reached again. I made a little video for the 30th anniversary when it came out, and I put like the most iconic fighting game of all time. Oh no, I put the most influential fighting game of all time. And loads of people were like ragging me in the comments for that. They were like, it's not the most. And I was like, it is the most. This franchise is the most. It started it all. Yeah. If it hadn't been such a hit, then we wouldn't have had Mortal Kombat. We wouldn't have had any of those other games, because other companies went, we can make some money with this. Yep. Like, it's exactly, you know, like the whole, like the combos system being like a mistake and all of that stuff. Every other game is like a copy paste of that. They're using those systems that came from early iterations of Street Fighter, whether they were mistakes or not, you know, at the time, but they're still utilized today. And I feel that reach has really come from, you know, the grassroots of Street Fighter. So that's why I said it was the most influential fighting franchise of all time. And people are like, no, it's not. What about Mortal Kombat? Oh, what about blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, I get that you're a Mortal Kombat fanboy, but it doesn't have the same, it hasn't had the same impact on the whole genre of fighting games as Street Fighter has. Yeah. Which is, the ripples are still going out today, like to this day, from those initial things in, you know, the 80s. Because pretty much every 2D fighter has copied the fireball motion, the Tatsumaki motion, the Shoryuken motion. You have a zone character, like literally Street Fighter created that. It created the whole
hype, the scene, and everyone's copying that to the point I remember that lawsuit back in the 90s where the game Fighter's History actually ripped off fully Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
To the T. I had that game. I'm like, yeah, Street Fighter. It's just a new coat of paint.
It's just a new coat of paint over it, but it's essentially the same thing. Yeah. It's the is crazy, but yeah, it's very interesting. I do like a bit of Street Fighter history.
Well, that makes me want to ask, like, what are your thoughts on SNK and like their franchises? Because I know a lot of people think of when they think of like Art of Fighting, they think of Ryu Sakazaki as a ripoff of Ryu, which in all essence he is. But the people who created Ryu and Ken left Capcom to go to SNK, and they created Ryo and Robert. So it's like, yeah, it's like a new take on Ryu and Ken. Like, what are your thoughts on SNK characters?
I really like them. I think they're very well designed. I don't feel that they're as iconic as the others. But I do like them, and I had like all the the Capcom versus SNK and stuff. Like I loved them, and but that's the thing. I've never had an affinity for them as I have for the Street Fighter characters. I really grew up with the Street Fighter characters. I had posters on my walls. I used to sit and draw them after school, like my mom's probably watching this, so she's probably like, yes, you did. I've still got your posters. I think she said to me, she's like, I've still got all your posters. Yeah, I was so obsessed with them, like when I was growing up. And I've told this story on Instagram Live, but like I remember we used to go on vacation to Mallorca with my mom and my grandma and my grandpa, and my nan and granddad. And I'm speaking in Americanisms for you, so my nanny and my granddad, but my grandpa. And there was like an arcade, like in the like next to the swimming pool. There was like a little arcade, and there were a few games in there. They had like I think they had Double Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
They had like Wonder Boy or something, and like all the kids were like begging their parents for like whatever the currency was at the time. I think it was like pesos or whatever. We were like, please, can we have some money to play the game? So we were like playing the games, and then one kid was like, oh, there is this game across the road in this bar. And we were like, oh, and they were like, oh my God, it's the best game ever. It's like a fighting game. And we were like, oh, okay. So like we all would sneak out like and go across the road to this like dive bar. Like it was, children should not have been in there, like it was not a safe place for like, a kid. And we were all like huddled around this machine, and all the local kids were playing and stuff. And it was the first time I really seen like that sort of like one-on-one thing. People were like picking characters. I was like, oh my God. And it was really amazing. And, you see all these people talking about like on YouTube, like, oh, I went to the arcade and there was a new game in it. But it really was like that for me, like I went in and I was like completely like, what is this game? And it was just, I remember, like I said, like the first character I picked was Blanka. I was like, Green Monster. He looks cool, like I picked him first. So everyone's always like, who did you pick first? I was like, it's Blanka, because he looked cool. And I saw some kid mashing the button, and I was like, he can do electricity. Cool, I can do that. So it was, but it was an amazing experience. And from there, I just like fell in love with it. And then I had to wait a while till I could save up and get Mega Drive, or a Genesis, as you Americans call it, to get Street Fighter 2 on that. So I was like, oh, because I wanted Sonic as well. I remember like my friend had Sonic the Hedgehog. I was like, I need that game. When I heard Street Fighter was coming out, I was like begged. So I like saved up all like my pocket money and my birthday money, my Christmas money, and I finally got a Mega Drive. It was amazing. So, loved it.
So like what inspired you to get into like Street Fighter and fighting game lore? Like what about it attracts you to it?
I think I would definitely say for this, I would say it's the character design. Like I think especially like I think something that Capcom does phenomenally, and they still do, is their character design. I think it's so visually striking and like it's just iconic. Like you recognize a character immediately, you know? I remember seeing like a thing on I think it was on Instagram or Facebook or something, and it was just literally like lines.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like 8 different lines, and I was like, but it was just like blocks of colors, and you're like Ryu, Chun-Li, Blanka, that you could see just from the lines like who the characters were. They were instantly recognizable, and I was like, oh, it's a real testament to their design that they thought, you know, like these characters go together in a certain way. And you know, like I read an interview, I think it was yesterday. It was with like Akiman and like the development team of Street Fighter 2. It's on the CFN, is it the CFN portal or whatever? I think
so. Yeah.
Yeah, I tweeted it out on the Twitter, and it was really interesting because they were saying like originally Blanka was pink. They were like, he was pink, and Akiman was like, it was so ugly, it looked so weird. Like they're quite funny on it, like the way they were talking. It's like, you know, it's all the original development team talking about like how they were assigned characters and how they designed them and stuff. And I mean, even rippling out into things like Final Fight and Rival Schools and Darkstalkers, you know, like these characters are so well designed, like they're instantly recognizable. And I think that's what attracts, I like good design, you know, like if it looks good. And I think that's true for a lot of players, because I think that's what a major gripe with Marvel vs. Capcom was. It didn't look great, you know?
Yeah.
Everyone was like, it doesn't look great. So nobody wanted to play it because it didn't, like, the mechanics were good, but
yeah,
it looked like trash. So people were like, yeah. Like, luckily they changed Chun-Li's face because, oh my God. That face.
Oh my Lord,
that
face was horrible.
I mean, it was either a brilliant marketing ploy,
yeah,
or because I feel like sometimes they do these things to troll us, you know, to get a rise out of the community. They like, oh, this is what it's gonna, and everyone's like, ah, it's horrible. Okay, just kidding.
You know, if you think about it,
versus... like they say, all publicity is good publicity, you know. Even if it's bad publicity, maybe not, but
you know, it's like when I think about it, I'm like, man, Capcom dropped 3 stinkers in a row. They had Street Fighter Cross Tekken, which was a good game, but marketing really hurt that. Then you had Street Fighter V's abysmal launch, and then you had Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. So it's like,
yeah, they feel like, come on. Give us the new Rival Schools. It'll wipe the slate clean.
Right? Oh, man. I like, so Tyler Stevenson in the chat, he brought up the stage themes for the Street Fighter characters are brilliant. They are, because they're iconic.
Yeah, the music, that's the whole thing. I think, like, the music's iconic. The, you know, the stages are iconic. I mean, like, I've even got, like, the Guile stage on my hat. Oh, I'm wearing my, I know this is a Hawaiian brand. Information.
Yep.
So, Insurgo hat. So yeah. But they have all the stages, and like so many people are like, like when I'm wearing it, they're like, oh, I love your hat, because I've got like a bison one. And they've got all the different characters basically with like the different stages underneath the brim. It's like, that's the thing. The stages are iconic, the music's iconic, the characters are iconic. Like, people just recognize them instantly. And I think that as well is why Street Fighter 2, whenever they bring it out on any system, it sells well, because people recognize it instantly. They're like, oh, Street Fighter 2. You know, like, that reminds me of when, because everyone played it back in the day. You know, everyone. No matter who you are, you picked it up some point with someone and played it. You know, because it was that great 2-player experience.
Were you shocked at the people that were super angry about Ultra Street Fighter 2 on the Switch? Like, people were seriously angry, and I'm over here like, why are you mad about an iconic game? And I've heard a lot of people who casually play it. They're like, oh, this is the same game as the one that was on the 360 and PS3. I'm like, graphically, yes. Mechanic wise, no. It's fundamentally different. And it's like, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was trying to like a lot of the some of the bigger YouTubers I'm friends with that did a review, and they would bash it, saying it's the same game, and I'm over here talking to them. I'm like, dude, no, it's not. It's got tech throws, it's got rebalancing of characters, it's got 2 new characters. They're like, oh, Violent Ken is not new. I'm like, he's never been in a Capcom game, only SNK.
Okay, yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, I didn't really understand what the problem was with it. Like, everyone was like, whoa, and they were quite vocal about it online, like you said. And I was like, but it's for a new console. Like, why do you care? Because if they didn't release it on the Switch, everyone would be like, well, but why is it not on the Switch? You know, like, I understand why they did it, because they had this new system that was selling well, and Capcom were like, maybe we can make some money out of this. Whack out. We've got the 30th anniversary come up. Let's do the HD remaster of Street Fighter 2 on it. And I thought it was cool. I bought it. I kind of stupidly, well, it's kind of cool in a way, but kind of not. I bought it in Japan because it came out while I was in Japan. I was like, yeah. And I was like walking around like Akihabara, and there was this like little video game shop, and they had it on the shelves like 3 days early. I was like, mine, taking this home, playing it all in Japanese. Couldn't understand any of them. Luckily, like, it's fairly basic. Like, you're like, okay, this is versus mode and it's got pictures. But I was like, when people are like, oh, can we play online? I'm like, can you tell me how to get to that menu? Because I have no idea. It's just all in Japanese. I'm like, nope, that's not the one. Nope. So, but I thought it was a good release. I love the artwork. I know Long worked on it from Udon, and he was sort of giving me the lowdown on that process, and said, like, you know, it was a long and struggle. But ultimately he was really proud of it and stuff. And I think it's a gorgeous looking game. And I like the fact that they gave you the option of having it like old school or new school. It wasn't just the thing. So I play with the HD graphics, but the old school sounds.
Yeah.
I like the way the HD looks, but I'm so used to hearing the old voices and the old effects that I'm like, when I hear the new ones, I'm like, oh no, this isn't right. No.
That's why it's like whenever I play, because I know I have the Ultra Street Fighter 2 Final Challengers, and I also have the 30th anniversary. And it's like whenever if I stream, so a lot of people are like, oh, will you please play Super Turbo, or not Super Turbo, Champion Edition on the 30th anniversary? I'm like, no, I'd rather just play Ultra, because Ultra to me is it's so well balanced.
Yeah, you know? They did a good job of like getting it.
Yeah,
well, I mean, they've had like 25 years to work on it, so it should be by now. Because they haven't got it right by now, then they never will.
Oh man. Oh, so you know, speaking of a Street Fighter, so what all people have you had the chance to meet in your journey? Like, I know you've met Yoshinori Ono. Like, that was cool.
I have met Ono. I've met Ono quite a few times, actually. Kind of working through, because I've been through this journey. I've really had the honor of sort of like working alongside some of these companies that I've really like looked up to for a long time, like Udon. When they asked me to come and work on their stall at San Diego Comic-Con, I was like, yeah, from the booth. It was hard work, don't get me wrong. It was like crazy busy, but it was really fun. And so they obviously have signings and stuff. So Ono will like show up and like do his thing and stuff. But I mean, like, he's great. And I feel like I hope he's still as active within the community as he has been. Now he's because he's kind of stepped down now, hasn't he? He's not. Yeah. He's not in charge anymore. And I thought he was people, whether you love him or hate him, because I mean he's a troll, and I love that he's a troll, and he plays it so well. You know, he's so fun. Like, he's such a fun sort of figurehead to have for the Street Fighter community. Like, so I hope he still plays that role, or whoever replaces him, you know, steps up to the challenge of kind of filling kind of tough shoes to fill, because he's been so sort of iconic in his own right, you know, like everyone like talks about Ono, and like I was really excited the first time I met him. I was like, you know, like it was cool. But now I'm a bit like, okay, here's Ono again, you know. But I have met him. I've met him quite a few times, and he's really, really sweet, and you know, an amazing guy. You know, I've never really ever had the chance to sit down and talk to him, obviously because I don't speak fluent Japanese. But his English is pretty good, actually. So,
oh wow.
Yeah, he does speak English, and he does understand like a lot. He always has a translator with him, but he understands a lot more, I think, than, you know. I think he just has them there as like a security, just to make sure everything's like, you know.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, he'd be all right. His English is pretty good. I've spoken to him a couple of times, and he's a thing. But he's really fun. He's super fun, and he's a really nice guy. So. But other than him, I've met some of the pro players, like Justin Wong, Alex Myers, Infiltration.
What's with that face? Oh yeah, the whole
the black sheep. We don't talk with his name anymore. Like he's just yeah, we won't talk about that.
Yeah, people, if you want to know about that, go Google it.
Go Google it.
We're gonna leave it at that.
But yeah, I mean, like a lot of the pro players, is really interesting. But the people that I've got most starstruck by, the one actually I legit nearly cried. I nearly cried. Was I met Brittany.
Mm-hmm.
Brittany, who's the voice of Sakura, and Sakura is my favorite character. So, and we'd been talking online and stuff, like through Instagram and stuff, because I wanted to do an interview with her when Sakura was coming out. But for one reason or not, it never happened. So we kept in touch and stuff. So she was like, "Oh, you're going to be at Comic-Con. I'm going to be at Comic-Con." I was like, "Oh yeah, come and find me." So she came over. She's like, "Pete?" I was like, ooh, like the tears started, because like her voice, she sounds exactly like a lot of the other ones. When I've met them, they put on a voice for the character.
Yeah.
So don't sound, but Brittany is like the way she speaks, her intonation, everything. She sounds exactly the same as Sakura. And she was telling me, she was saying like when she was doing the recording for Street Fighter 4 or maybe 5 as well, or maybe it was 5 actually. I can't remember. Anyway, she said that all of the little like okie dokies and things that Sakura does is actually her, because they didn't tell her to do that. It was her. They kept all the takes. That they'd be like, "Hey Brittany, can you do it a bit higher and with a bit more?" She'd be like, "Okie dokie, do again," whatever, you know. They kept all those little takes and just put them into like random parts of her dialogue, you know, within the game. So she's like, "That's 100% me. That's like her tick for when she's getting like feedback." She's like, "Okie dokie." There's a little tidbit for you. but she was super nice to me, and I met Bonnie as well, who's like Armika and stuff.
Oh, I'm friends with her. I talked to her. I have a little group with her, Michael Coleman, and a couple other voice actors. They're super cool.
I didn't get to meet Michael actually. He was at Comic-Con, but he was super busy. Because obviously he was really promoting hard at the time. He was kind of their headliner at the time. But the other ones kind of made their way over to the Udon booth at some point and came and said hello. But then they were having a big meetup with all of the voice actors, and we were swamped on the Udon booth, and I just couldn't get away to go to it. I was like, no. But yeah, people buying stuff. Damn it. But it was I'd love to meet him. I know he's very good friends with Tay and stuff. So, but I really would like to do like kind of what you do, you know, do sort of in-depth things with the voice actors and stuff. It's they're really interesting, and
I'll say this:
unsung heroes of this game, you know, like they're getting a lot more recognition now, but they weren't at the time. I was like, you know, why is nobody interviewing these people, you know? So,
dude, I'll say this: you should one, you've got your platform is super huge. But without that, they want to be interviewed. Just people don't reach out to them for that. You know, and I think that's unfortunate. Like I've had the opportunity now. Like I'm super really good friends with Michael Coleman, and it's like to the point when I go to LA, I'm gonna hang out with him. I'm like, yeah, that's my buddy now. Like it's just like these people, they're so cool, and people just they understand the character, but they don't care. A lot of folks, it seems like either they don't know or they don't care much about the voice behind the character. And I'm like, that's unfortunate. You should definitely interview him, man. I would love to.
I would really like to. I think that's definitely something that I would like to sort of push more into in the future. I think a lot of people are like, why don't you set up a YouTube page, and and I'm always like, I've got a lot. I just don't know who would want to listen to me. That's the thing. I'm like, do you actually want to listen to this? But I think it would be really interesting, and I really would like to start doing. I know I've seen that Reddit Street Fighter has started doing some things with artists, and that's more my kind of domain. Like I would never go and like interview like Justin Wong or Takedo or whoever, like, because that's not really. And I feel like someone like Born Free has really got that covered. That's his bag, Whereas like I'm more like art, collectibles, that kind of thing. So I've always kind of wanted to getting into like doing, and I have done a few like Instagram lives where when they gave us like the split screen feature, do like live interviews. I had Tay on there. We did one on Valentine's Day actually. She drew like Cody very provocatively, I have to say, of course. And everyone was like coming in and be like, what the hell is this? And like, this is Tay. Her, we were on there for a couple of hours, and she was just doodling and like doing she did like a cover of the Street Fighter comic. She drew on that, and we just chatted, and I think something like that would be really fun to do, more stuff like that. So I really want to get into that, but it's I don't have another. And obviously, being in a different time zone, it's hard to like match these things up, I remember having to Ensergo wanted me to do a live with them when they were in Japan at Japan Evo, and they wanted like me to like host it or something. So like I had to get up at like 4 a.m. in the morning, and like I was like, hey everybody, welcome to Japan Evo, like in my apartment with like tiny eyes, looking like really tired. Everyone else is like having a great time at Evo Japan, and I'm like in my apartment looking really, really tired. But these things are like it's hard, especially being in Europe. But I'm really consciously making an effort to like push to get to more conventions and stuff. And I think through this, I'll maybe be able to start, taking some footage and like trying to do something with it. I don't know. I'm like, I haven't really got that far. At the moment, I'm on art books. That's my main objective at the moment, art challenges, because there's so many talented people out in the art community, especially people that like don't get little to no recognition, I met Tay through that, like, and now she's flying, like she's doing an amazing job. People like Zombie Raptor, like she's just done the cover for our latest art book, and I said, just do something simple. I don't know if you saw it, but it was like the most insane picture. It's like every character that's ever been in any game, like I was just like, just something simple, like a couple of characters. No, she gave me like 50. I was like, she's mad, but like I appreciate like all the effort, and especially all these people that like put stuff in. I actually grabbed a couple of the art, but I could show Tay's, because we did a 30th anniversary. I've got the physical ones here.
Nice.
But we didn't actually sell them because obviously I don't want to make a profit and get into trouble with rights from Capcom or anything. But I did offer it to the artists involved. I said, like, here's the link. You can order it if you want. But Tay did the Zonknuckle did the cover for this one, and
wow,
that was really cool. She did a great job, and as you can see, we had like lots and lots and lots of submissions. Like some of them are just like crazy. And I don't know if you saw this one, but these were actually done by Christian Howard, who played Ken in Assassin's Fist.
What?
He's an amazing artist, crazily enough. So I wrote to him, Gaku Space, Mike Mo, like basically all the guys that were in Assassin's Fist.
Mm-hmm.
And I said like, hey guys, we're doing this 30th anniversary art book. It would be kind of funny if you did like a stick man or something and drew yourselves, and I'll put them all on one page, or, you know, like Mike Mo's Ryu and Christian Howard's like Ken, and like Joey Answer's Akuma and stuff. And all of them responded, were like, oh, no, we don't draw, but Christian's amazing. And so Christian came back and was like, yeah, I'll do something. And I said, oh, that would be cool. So he did this one of Ryu and Ken fighting. I don't know if you can
Nice.
and then he actually he did 3 or 4 in the end. I was like, are you crazy? Like, I was just like, just one. And then he like sent like through a bunch. And then he said, and then I said like, wow, you've done such an amazing thing. So there's one he drew of Gaku. I don't know if you can see it with a shine, but
dude, it's nice.
Yeah, he's really like that's what his background is. He's like art and like design stuff. Like,
wow.
Yeah, and obviously I think like growing up, you know, like martial arts and stuff were like kind of a hobby, but he was going towards that direction, and then he ended up, you know, becoming an actor and a stuntman and martial artist and doing all that stuff. But so I was like crazy. It was crazy. So, but he actually wrote like a little forward for the book. So if you look like the first page, he's drawn Alpha Ken, Street Fighter 2 Ken, and Street Fighter 5 Ken, is him in each one of them, and then like a little thing underneath, you know, like a little thing about what Street Fighter means to him and stuff. It was really amazing, and I was really touched that he did that for sort of our little community. I was like, thank you, dude. I've yet to meet Christian. I actually missed him by one day in LA. He was at a store that I was going to the next day, and I went there, and they were like, oh, Christian, who was here yesterday. I was like, oh, damn it, I missed him. So, but yeah, but then we also did the Rival Schools one as well. And this cover is by Larry Warren Jr., Eldorb on Instagram and other social media. And like,
nice.
he did I mean, this was like crazy amount of work. He drew basically every character ever from Rival Schools. He just went mad, and I was a little bit nervous that nobody was going to submit to it, but as you can see, it's pretty thick. So I think we had like 160 pieces in the end. But I mean, like the quality and stuff, like this is by Absalom Terra. I don't know if you can see. Oh, the shine. There you go.
Dude, that's nice.
Like, people are like, they're in it to win it. When they do it, like, who else? Oh, I know. I'm fairly good friends with Richard Suono. I know he does all the graphics for like Evo and stuff now, and he does the emotes for Capcom Unity, and he did like a whole school yearbook picture for it of all of the characters, basically.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like, they're insane. Like, but if you want to look at these in like totality, then you can go to the Street Fighter Legacy Instagram, and there's like a little button that says art books. You just scroll through to the one you want, and then you swipe up, and it will take you to the link, so you can look at them, because they're all free to view online. So that was the main thing. I wanted it to be free to view, and you know, I don't want to make any money out of it, because that's not the point. It's just a platform for people to show their work. And we are currently doing one right now. It's called Street Fighter at the Movies.
Yeah.
So
tell them about it.
Basically, I was just like, cause I get submitted a lot of art. People send me their art a lot, and they're like, hey, will you post this? Hey, will you do? And I don't want to say I'm bored of seeing people like, but I'm kind of bored of seeing people like, you know, like the regular fight pose stuff. I'm like, it doesn't excite me anymore. It doesn't give me anything. So I was like, okay, we need to do something to like shake it up. So I was like, okay, cast your favorite Street Fighters in movies, your favorite movie. So I know like Poison and Hugo in Dirty Dancing, or like some of the ones, I don't want to spoil it for people because some of the ones we've had are like absolutely nuts. They're really, really good. I tweeted out one and put it on Instagram, and it kind of went a little bit viral the other day, by Jevon. And he did like a Addams Family one with all the Shadaloo characters, and like people went nuts for it online. But that's the thing, people really respond to seeing something unusual. And that's what I want to kind of get out there. Like, if people ever want to submit work to me to post on StreetFighterLegacy, like, send something unusual. Don't send me like, you know, a copy of Ackerman's Chun-Li, because I'll just post the Ackerman version, you know, because it's the original. It's got to be like eye-catching and something like that I've not seen, because I feel like I've seen every single Street Fighter picture in the world ever. I've seen that on Google image search going, oh, that's a nice one. Oh, that's a good one. So something weird. Make it weird and wacky, unusual.
Do you feel Shinkiro, since he's part of Capcom now, do you feel that he's underutilized in comparison to how he was in, when he was with SNK?
A little bit. I'd like to see more, but I don't know. I don't know. It depends on like what they. You don't know the ins and outs of the company and what they're working on, and they might be like working on a massive project that we haven't seen yet. Like, so that's why they're not as readily available, you know, and stuff. Like, I don't know. Like, I'd like to see more. The one that the artist that I'm like most gutted about is Edian. Like, do you know that one? He did all this, like the rival schools art and like Alpha, and his style is just like, it's the one that I love the most. Like I love all of the Capcom greats, but like those ones, they're so expressive in their faces and like stuff. And I was talking to Long Vogue from Udon, and he was saying like, he's like, oh, I've got like an Akiman sketch. I've got like, he's got sketches from all of like, you know, the gods of things. And he said when he was working on Ultra, well, the HD remix, basically, he said he went to Capcom in Japan and he met Edian. And he was like, oh my God, this is it. I'm going to be able to get a sketch from him. And he doesn't draw anymore. He's just like, no, he doesn't want to draw. He's like, oh, no, I don't draw anymore. I don't know why, but he just produces now. That's all he does. He doesn't want to draw. And I find that really sad, because it's like my dreams of having like an original Rival Schools sketch by him are just like dashed. That's it. It's like done. Never gonna happen.
Man, that's.
I mean, I know that someday I might be able to meet Akiman and get him to draw Chun-Li for me. You know, like it's happened. He's been at Comic-Con and done that kind of thing. But to get him now is just like, no, it's not gonna happen. Like Kinu Nishimura is still around. She's still drawing. You know, like she's doing stuff. You see her artwork pop up for Street Fighter stuff as well. Occasionally, she did stuff for the Street Fighter 5, like she did one with all the girls with cats and stuff. Did you see it? Like,
yeah,
it was really cool. Like, it was, some of the cats looked a bit like perturbed, like they were a bit like, but like I love her stuff. Like, so it's really like I feel like those people are still accessible. But when Long told me that, I was like, no, I'm never gonna get that sketch. He was like, me neither. He's like, I'm gutted. He's like, I'm so sad, because he's one of his favorites as well. So, but. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad times.
Because, you know, that's one of the things, like, and speaking of the artwork, that's one thing that I feel like for Street Fighter, that's never really been kind of consistent throughout its lineage. Whereas you compare it to like the King of Fighters or any of the SNK fighters, Shinkiro, like when you think of Shinkiro, one of the first things you think of is SNK and all their various fighters. Whereas with Capcom, it's like, okay, we got Shinkiro, we got this person, we got this person.
Yeah.
there's like no set, especially with Street Fighter 5, where Shinkiro did some art for Street Fighter 5, and you had another person do art for 5, and then you had all these different people, and I'm like, what's the consistent theme, you know?
Yeah. It's especially with 5, it feels it hasn't got a visual identity as whereas other ones do more. You know, like Kinu Nishimura and stuff in like Third Strike and all that kind of stuff. It was very uniform kind of across the board. I mean, yeah, they do change it up for each product. But with 5, I don't feel like it's got a strong visual identity. Like all of the pictures I said, well, I suppose no, Bengus is the lead on it, I guess. So he would be the one, because I mean he does all the ending artwork and stuff. Although the Udon guys did a lot of the ending work now as well. So for the older titles, but and Kiki as well.
Yeah,
Kiki has done all. You know, he does all the individual shots for all the characters. Which, by the way, I'm like, come on, when are we going to get... I keep I'm going to harp on about rival schools again. Like, they've got a freaking, like, you know, those little profiles and like, this is Dalsim's fourth cousin on the mother's side, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, yeah, great. I really need to know about this character, but when are we going to have the ones of all the rival schools kids? Do you know what I mean? Like,
and they're in Kyrie's stage too.
I'm like, they're in the fucking game. You can see them in the fucking background. So why do I need to look at fucking Laura's 500th cousin? I'm like, I don't care. Give me I want CFM profiles for, you know, Hinata and Batsu and Shoma and Akira. That's what I want. Nope. Not going to give it to us. They even did freaking Fighting Layer Street Fighter EX.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not even Capcom.
How did they do that? Like, is there still like a relationship between Arika and Capcom? Because I was shocked to see that.
Well, this is the thing as well. Like, especially when they did that, the popularity poll. Did you see that?
Yeah, I remember that.
They did like a massive popularity poll. I was like, I can vote for Captain, what's his name? Captain Sawada?
Sawada? Yeah.
The guy that's like in the freaking movie. I can vote for him, but I can't vote for freaking Batsu. I'm like, why the fuck?
I had to scratch my head there.
I was like, what is happening? What are they doing over there? Like, I was like, it's just like they're skating around. I don't understand why they're skating around rival schools like so massively. But then they'll give us like glimpses of hope when they put them in the back of the Kanzuki Beach stage. I'm like people were like texting me and stuff like, oh my God, have you seen the Kanzuki Beach stage? I was like, oh. I was like, oh my God, they're coming. We're going to get a character. We're going to get one of them. They're going to integrate them finally like they did with Final Fight. No. They all go to the same schools.
Yeah.
They all, like, Ibuki is at the same school as Hinata. She's at Teo High. Like, that's her school. Like, because she's got the same uniform. They've even openly stated it. Like, they all go to the same, like, the younger cast of Street Fighter go to the same schools as these kids. So they could definitely integrate them. I can see why they wouldn't, because a lot of them are clones from Street Fighter. Like, there's no need to put Hinata in because she's Sakura. She's the same.
Yeah.
Her moveset is too similar. Like, you're not going to... They'd be too similar. The only one that I could see integrating really, really well that wouldn't be completely out of place, because if you put, like, Nagare doing his, like, synchronized swimming in Street Fighter 5, it would be weird as hell. I mean, it would be a step too far, I think. But, like, I could definitely see, like, Akira in there because she's, like, a cool character design. Like, the biker chick, you know, like, we haven't had a character like that in Street Fighter. And I think she'd work really well in there.
Yeah.
Because she works in that universe. You know, she hasn't got a massive baseball bat. She's not a tennis player. She's not going to lob volleyballs, you know? Like, these other characters, they're a bit too wacky and weird for the Street Fighter universe, but in the actual mainline game. But Akira would work. She'd be cool, I think. So,
I think Akira and Batsu would be really good.
Batsu would be cool. I mean, like when the last time we saw him was in
Tatsunoko,
yeah, and I was like, oh my god, they haven't forgotten him. He's in. Like, I was super excited when he was in it.
Did you like? For me, I paired him up with Ryu, and I'm like, I want to see Batsu versus Ryu. I really want to see that.
Yeah, I mean, he's a cool character. Like, I like all of the. I'd like to see him come back, but I feel like he's a bit too similar. They're not gonna. He's too similar. He's too much Shoto-esque.
Yeah.
Ish. I mean, he's not really, but he's a bit too similar. It's not. Whereas Akira's kind of like, you know, and she'd even have a V skill. You know, she can put a helmet on and she'd be like Power Akira. You know, like
who would you like to see if they? Okay, fingers crossed, knock on wood, it's not gonna happen. But if they were to put Akira in Street Fighter V, who would you want to see as her rival?
As her rival?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like from the Street Fighter V current cast?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, do you go kind of... I don't know. That's really hard. Because, like, I don't know. I feel like somebody like Rainbow Mika probably would be quite good to play her off against. But then I feel like you need a really... It would probably be somebody like Ibuki. Because Ibuki's like, all like, oh my god, I want a boy. And Akira's just like, I don't care. You know? She's very... So, I don't know. It'd be, I don't know. It's from the current girl cast. No. Yeah, I would probably Ibuki. I'd go for her or Sakura, but
okay, cool. I was thinking that too because I'm like, there's really not a whole lot from the current female cast that would make sense in a pairing with her.
Yeah,
fully.
yeah. I mean, because like in her story, she's like looking for her brother and all that stuff, and she like infiltrates the boys' school and stuff, doesn't she, originally? But she's a bit of a tomboy. But I would say she's kind of the most similar to sort of like Makoto, really, like characteristic wise. So yeah, which brings us on to season 4.
Why is okay, Capcom? If you guys are watching this, why did you put in Fang, but not Makoto? Fang as a character,
You don't like him?
Not really. And then the other character I feel the most let down.
I kind of love him. I really like Fang. I think he's cool. Like,
he's so goofy. Like, I just don't. Him and Shadaloo, I'm like.
That's kind of what that's the thing that I love about Capcom. They're just like curveball. I think if that's what I love about Street Fighter is like it does not take itself seriously. Like it will be all like, oh, you know, like really like, oh, this is really dark. Oh, I'm like being taken over by the devil and stuff. And then you've got Sakura and Blanka coming in and being like down at Hibiki, like, ah, you know, like. It's just like a complete juxtaposition of like what's happening, you know, like I like the lightness and the darkness of it, you know, like it's like real life. People are like, there's horrible things going on in the world and then there's crazy fun things happening at the same time, you know, like and
like G.
Yeah, like I thought G was great. I think he's really cool. Like I liked him a lot. I thought he's really I really like their wacky characters. I think they do that really well. Fun, I think I liked his character design. I thought he was like kind of cool, and that whole like I'm number 2 and like it's so weird because the 4 kings were so serious to throw him in the mix just was like brilliant. Like I was just like, especially because I knew that people would be fuming that Sagat wasn't in there. It would just made it funnier. Like I was just like, they're such trolls. They're just like, no, we're not going to give you Sagat. We're going to give you this instead. Enjoy.
Because if you think about it, like I feel like Sagat and Akuma were 2 characters Capcom said were not going to be in Street Fighter V.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, boom, they're in. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're crazy with their stuff. I mean, I think I have a friend that works for Capcom, and he said that all of the characters are already decided for like the next seasons, and they know who they are. It's already preset. It's done. They're in development. Which makes sense. I mean, these things obviously take a hell of a lot of time for like development. Right? You know, they're years in advance. You know, they're probably working. They're doing finishing touches on season 4, and they're doing pre-production on season 5. Like now, you know, it's obviously, you know, these things take, you know, for all the animation and the skins and the recording of the voices and making sure it's balanced, and I mean, like they're years in advance, so which makes sense. But it's crazy to know that it's kind of predetermined for the next sort of 2 years of who we're going to get and who's going to complete this cast. So, you know.
Yeah. So my other question, it's Street Fighter related, but it's also going to be skipping into the Tekken realm.
Okay.
So Akuma is canon to Tekken 7.
Yeah.
So how does that work? I have yet to be able to find out how they were able to do that, unless this is just a completely separate Akuma.
No idea. I mean, like, I haven't played Tekken 7 and I haven't looked into it too closely. Like, I don't really know like his storyline or what happens to him. I would have to ask friends. I've got a lot of friends that like play Tekken, like Fran. Yo, Fran, shout out Fran and Go Speed Gamer. What's up, guys? My Twitch buddies. Whoa. Caesar Leo. Hi, guys. I don't really know too much. I know they play a lot of Tekken, but I've never been a Tekken head, so I've never really picked it up. And I don't really know what happened. I should really know, actually. I should really have looked into it, but I would just know he's in it, and like,
yeah,
people seem to enjoy him in the game. I think that's cool. I think it was a really smart move by Capcom. They're like, we're not going to put him in Street Fighter 5. We're going to put him in Tekken instead and make you all wait another year. Which was... but I feel like the Akuma thing was maybe like a leftover from Tekken Cross Street Fighter.
Yeah.
They obviously were working on it, and they worked on him. And they were like, oh... we've worked on this for a couple of years, and now we're not going to use this asset at all. Oh, can we just stick him in Tekken 7? Oh, all right then, cool. In he goes. You know, there was obviously a lot of development that gone into that game, so there's obviously models for Chun-Li and Ryu. I mean, they're obviously going to be in the game, but yeah, I feel like Akuma, those three are the ones that would obviously definitely be in Tekken Cross Street Fighter. But apparently somebody said it's still coming back, but I thought it was dead. I thought it was like dead.
Yeah, because I thought the same thing. I thought with how people hated and lambasted Street Fighter Cross Tekken that Namco was like, we're not going to put anything out. But then you kind of think about it with Tekken Tag Tournament 2 when that came out, and then with the current Tekken 7, what time frame would they put out this game?
Yeah,
it wouldn't compete with like whatever they have going currently.
Well, I think especially because they had Tekken 7 coming out of Street Fighter 5, they want to have all eyes on that at the moment. Yeah. They're the two that they're like, okay, we're not going to do anything yet. And I've always said, like, in every generation of Street Fighter, they've always had like a cross, you know, like with something at some point. And it's generally towards the end cycle of that iteration. So if we are going to see Tekken Cross Street Fighter, like, it's probably going to come in the next couple of years, I would have thought. Probably maybe as even a launch title for the like PS5.
Yeah.
Next gen, I would say, like, not this generation at all, because it's too soon. They still want people to be talking about Street Fighter 5 and Tekken 7. But then who are they going to do it with? I'm still sitting on the fence, because I think they could give us a new SNK. It could happen. I feel like Fighting Layer if it had done better than it had, that we could have had new Street Fighter EX. That could have been a possibility. And then obviously the Tekken crossover. So it could go either way. But I feel like the one that people would like lose their minds for is a new SNK. I feel like that's the only thing that could replace, if it was good and it was solid, I feel like it's the only thing that could replace Street Fighter 5 at the top billing on things like Evo and stuff like that.
Yeah, they did Capcom versus SNK 3. I think, okay, so if they, let's go in some hypotheticals. If they went with an art style, I personally, I don't mind the Street Fighter 5 style, but I think with the graphical boost that they put to King of Fighters 14, I think it looks better.
When they did that like new wash over, because I mean, like, it looked okay, it looked good, it looked solid. But then when they were like, "Hey, we've upped the graphics even better," I was like, "Oh yeah, you've done a good job." Like, that was cool. So yeah, I would be more down for that, definitely.
And even Street Fighter, the Fighting EX layer looks gorgeous. That game,
yeah, it's really cool. Like, it looks really, it looks slick. It looks really nice. They did a good job on that game, especially for something that was kind of a passion project for them. You know, not. I think they were all just kind of doing it in their free time, from what I understood. Like, they did a really good job on that. So bravo to the Eureka team, because they did some cool stuff. They did some really cool stuff.
So like, if they did the crossover Capcom versus SNK, how do you think? Like, how big should the roster be? I'm thinking minimum 60 characters. Minimum.
Yeah, but they're never going to give you 60 characters on the offset. Oh, do you know what? Actually, after the precedent that Smash is now set, where they're like, everyone is here.
Yeah.
It might make them look differently at the way things are formatted, you know? But I mean, the amount of time that these characters, especially if they're especially with Smash, like, they were obviously reusing assets from the Wii U ports. So it was a lot easier for them to be like, everyone is here. But if they're having to do things from scratch, having 60 from the offset is, I think it's too much for a development team to like realistically pump out, unless we wait until like 2025. Well, not even that. Like, it nearly is 2025. What am I talking about? Like, there we go. On the PS14.
Oh my goodness. All right, so winding down to the last couple questions. So I want to ask you, how do you feel about the FGC? Because basically, the FGC as a whole is what's really kept the fighting game genre alive.
Yeah,
you know, it seems like in the early 2000s, the fighting game genre kind of died off. Do you think that, you know, with the push for major tournaments, both local, nationally, and global, and also with, you know, monumental shows like E-League and whatnot, and Friday Night Fights, like, do you think that will draw more people into the scene, or do you think of, like, with the heavy criticism that the FGC gets for some of its players, do you think that keeps people away?
I think it's a real double-edged sword, you know, like, there's so much positivity and it can be such a welcoming place. But then obviously you do have the toxic side of it as well. I feel like it is what you make of it. I mean, it's like any experience in life, you know, like, whatever group you go into, like, you know, a school, or, you know, there's, you know, kids you don't want to be associating with and the ones you do. And I feel like people kind of come in and are a bit like, oh, I don't really, and then you find your clique and you find like who you gel with. And I think there are such amazing people in the FGC and so many amazing ambassadors for the FGC that like I've had the pleasure to meet and stuff, like right across the board, but players, cosplayers, gosh, you know, like, you know, everybody, you know, artists, people like yourself, you know, like podcasts, YouTubers, you know, it's such a weird mash of people that everyone's kind of just sort of like finding their place. But to be honest, on my part, I've had nothing but positive experiences within it.
Same here.
I have seen negativity and toxic, but generally that's really mainly around the pro playing scene.
Yeah.
For me, and I don't really associate myself too closely with that. I keep my eye on it because obviously I have to, but I'm not in it jostling for a position. You know, I'm not trying to get in there and start anything with it. The people that I deal with, like the vendors of the products and cosplayers and artists and stuff, everyone in that community is super, super, super nice and super, super supportive. They're so amazing. And like, you know, they're like a little family and everyone's super, super supportive of each other. And, you know, that's what I love. And that's why I gravitate towards that and that positivity. I know it's very like hippy dippy to say like, hey, positive vibes, man. But like, it really is that, you know, like the people I've met are like, some of them I find like the most inspirational people I've ever met in my life, you know, like their stories and everything, you know, getting to know these people on a personal level from, you know, seeing somebody's Instagram post or like liking a picture on their thing and then like becoming friends with them. Like it's a crazy experience. And social media can be so negative and it can be so awful, but it can be such a beautiful thing and it can really bring people together from all over the world. You know, like I'm in France, I'm sat in France now at, what time is it? 12:15 at night, you know, and I'm talking to someone in Hawaii, and that experience would never have been possible without this community, like, and this outreach of like, you know, I find that side of the FGC very all-inclusive, but then there are negative elements, but I feel like people shouldn't stay away from it, from that. And I feel like, especially on local level, like on the local scene level, like of like the tournaments in people's locals, people are more supportive, you know, because they see each other every week, you know, they're just like, I'll get you next week, you know, like, what these like Wednesday night is it Wednesday night fights and stuff in LA and stuff like that, and all these locals that stuff that people go to like on a weekly basis and stuff, and like places like Mash Fest in New York City, they do like Mash Fest, Sonic Boombox, they run those. Sonic Boombox, shout out to them, those guys are amazing. If you ever want to go to their cosplay parties, and they do all the like official events now for all those things. Love those guys. I love them so much.
If you're ever out here in Hawaii, then definitely come out to some of the events we hold at Video Gamers.
Oh, I definitely want to. Yeah, I would. I'd love to. Like, I know you've got a small but kind of thriving FGC community in Hawaii. I know Travis from FGC Hawaii. I met him at Evo, and he's the sweetest guy ever. Like, he's super nice. He gave me all this like candy from Hawaii. I was like, thank you. I was like crying because I was like so hungry because we've been working so hard on the booths and stuff at Evo and stuff. Because I was on the Beast, the Insurgo booth that do like all the skate decks and stuff. I was going to tell my story about the Blanka Chan skate deck.
Do it.
Well, like that was as I said earlier, sort of like Blanka Chan's become like my kind of like unofficial sort of mascot. Much like Ono-san's is Blanka, who surprisingly, I didn't know this, but somebody told me, I think it was somebody that worked for Capcom, they said that Blanka isn't Ono's favorite character.
Really?
I know, right? Who'd have thought? Apparently it's Cammy is his favorite.
Oh wow!
But because he has the Blanka, it's just become like his mascot, you know. So it's just become a thing in itself. But apparently, his favorite is actually Cammy. Apparently,
I never would have thought that.
Yeah, I didn't. I was like, what? And they were like, yeah. He's like, he likes Blanka, but it's not his favorite. I was like, oh, okay. Cammy's his favorite. I think it's probably the booty, you know, but like Fran, shout out Fran Biz. So Blanka Chan's become my kind of unofficial thing, mainly for the fact that the time when they announced Blanka Chan, like they put up like a little like a PNG file on Twitter, and they just kind of went like, okay, Twitter, like have fun, like meme the crap out of this kind of thing. So they started doing all like him in Titanic and stuff. And I don't know if do you guys know the Insurgo stuff?
I'm not that familiar with it.
No, okay. So they make skate decks like these. Yeah. So they're always like one half of the character. So I've got the Sakura one here, which they're designed by Longvo from Udon. He actually, if you ever pick one up I'm doing an advert. This is a commercial now. If you pick one up at a convention and stuff, and he's there, he'll actually do a sketch on it. I don't know if you can see.
It's clear.
He did a Sakura sketch on it for me. So
nice.
he'll sketch them for you. So and I actually got this one signed by Brittany Harvey as well, who's the voice of Sakura. So that's my Sakura deck. Anyway, so they kind of bring out like a different couple of ones of these every year. They've done like Akuma, Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li, Blanka, E Honda, Sakura, Ibuki. They've kind of done loads of them. And when Blanka Chan was announced, everyone was doing this, and I just sent a tweet to Insurgo, who I've dealt with quite a lot, and I've worked for them quite a lot of times, and they're the nicest guys. Shout out Insurgo, because you guys work so hard and are doing some amazing stuff. But I sent them like a mock-up of a Blanka Chan deck. Like I took the picture, cut it in half, you know, and just stuck it on the board, and I said like, make it happen. And Insurgo sort of were like, oh well, if this gets like, I don't know, I think it was like 1,000 likes or whatever, it will happen, you know, we'll do like a limited run of it or something. And well, as you can see, it happened. It literally went mad overnight. I went to bed and like I woke up in the morning and it had like, you know, 10,000 retweets or something. It was like ridiculous. So wow. It kind of went it went kind of nuts for a while. So I feel personally responsible for that. So that's why he's kind of become my sort of unofficial mascot myself now. Even though Sakura's my favorite character, I've sort of adopted Blanka Chan as my son. But but it was fun because like people like Justin Wong and like Alex Faye and like all the big guys were like retweeting it and being like, make it happen, guys. So like it just went kind of weird and nuts. So it happened. So we got one. So I was happy that we finally got a Blanka Chan deck. So
awesome. All right. Well, my last question. I know we've been going almost 2 hours now.
No, we haven't. No, it's not been 2 hours. It's only been an hour.
Really? Only an hour?
Yeah, I think.
When did we start? I've lost track of time.
I've lost track of time. We've been talking.
Okay. So when it comes to fighting games, what do you feel is best to play? Fight stick, fight pad, and why either or both? And what advice would you give someone who's looking to get into fighting games or would want to play competitively or get better? I know that's multiple questions in one. But...
Can you repeat the question? That's like the longest.
Okay.
How do you feel about fight sticks or fight pads? And what advice would you give them? What's the meaning of life? And also, I'm nipping to McDonald's. What's your order? And Give it to me. I'm getting old. You got to give it to me in sections.
Okay. So we'll break it up into 2 questions. Okay, when it comes to fighting games, do you feel it's best to play with a fight stick or fight pad, and why for either or both?
Okay, so I would say if you're going to play competitively, I would say fight stick. Although some people would still argue pad. Me personally, when I like to play, because I'm old school and like I like to feel the cross, so I play pad. I still play pad, but I don't own a fight stick. I don't have one. Yeah, it's thing. But I mean, I'm seeing a lot of thing about like it's what they call the hitboxes now. Is it the new thing? It's the new
the mix box thing.
Like I just feel like I'm getting too old for all these like new fangled things, you know? Like I'm looking at it going, how the hell does that work? Like I understand a fight stick, you know, because it's like that arcade experience, but like those hitbox things, I'm like, they got me kind of scratching my head. I'm like, how can you do like a Hadouken with that? Like you have to press like 500 buttons to like do it. Like,
yeah.
I feel like I'm writing like a university essay. They're like, only 1,000 words. You're like, Hadouken! It's a lot. It's a lot. But I mean, like, some people are like swearing by it, and I've seen people reviewing them, and like a lot of people like going into like them and stuff. So I haven't personally picked one up and like tried it, but I don't think I would be the best person to test it out either. So yeah. But yeah, competitively, I would say stick because it's kind of the standard. But some people play pad and they do really well on pad. Like, so I guess whatever you feel most comfortable with, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
You feel most comfortable with, but I feel most comfortable on pad.
Okay, so you know. The second, third, and fourth question was rolled up into that.
Rolling on.
What advice would you give to someone that's looking to get into fighting games, and also those who are currently playing but would like to get better?
Ooh, practice. practice. Not like me, because I'm the worst person at Street Fighter. Like I always used to think, you know, like, because I only ever played like offline, and I played with my friends, and I was always like the best one of my friends. Yeah. And then I took it online. Oh boy, was I wrong. I am awful. I'm so bad. People are always like, hey, what's your code? And let's fight. And I'm like, no. I can't face the shame. I played with people on Twitch before, and I just get my ass handed to me every single time. I'm so bad. But like as well, I haven't really been playing this generation of Street Fighter V, so I'm not up on like all of the like things, and like I'm really bad with all the stuff when they're like, oh yes, this has got a 4 something frame trap, and I'm like, I have no idea what that means, but yeah, good for you guys.
I'm right there with you.
They're all like, oh yes, if you DP on wake up, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh yeah, I have no idea what that means.
Right? I have people that like when I play them, because look, I'm like you. I grew up playing them in the arcade, and so it's like I just play. I react to the person I'm playing with. And so I have people telling me like, "Oh, you did DP on Wake Up and on a Fuzzy Guard," and I'm over here like,
"What does that mean?" Like, I feel like there's new terminology every week as well. It's like changing all the time. So like, just when I feel like I'm getting some of it down, it's changed again, and I'm like, "Can we not just agree on something?" Like, does it have to change every week? But yeah, I'm really not great, but like if somebody, going back to the question, if somebody wanted to get into like fighting games and stuff, like just go to your locals, and like the main thing is to have fun. That's what's going to keep you coming back. Make friends, have fun, practice, and just see where it goes from there. I mean, like, and enter your local tournaments, and you know, there's going to be a lot of losses, but there's going to be some wins, and there's going to be ups and downs, of course. And I mean, reaching this like pro player status, I mean, these guys are machines. They like grinded it like 24/7. They practice. So I mean, if you want to be up there with like, you know, Takedo and like, I keep wanting to say Infiltration.
Google them, people. We can't talk about it.
But people like that, you know, like, then you just have to, I mean, it's a career. It's like these people that are like on Twitch and like these pro Fortnite players and League of Legends and stuff, like they just play 24/7 and they grind at it. Like it's a lot. I mean, there's some people that have got like natural skill and like amazing, but I mean, a lot of these people that are really good, like I see them on Twitch all the time and they're just like grinding, like they're doing like 9 hours a day streaming Street Fighter 5, you know, or whatever game they're doing. They're like at it, like constantly. So, but I would say it's like an introductory level thing. Go to your locals, pick up the game first, play with your friends at home, have some fun, enjoy it. If you enjoy it, then practice a bit, go to your locals, enter. You never know. There's probably other people at, you know, the same level as you and stuff, and just go and have some fun. If you're old enough to drink, have some drinks. You know, just have some fun and meet people on the way. That, I mean, that's really what it's all about, you know, like the experiences that we have and stuff. So
I agree, and don't get overwhelmed with all the terminology, because I mean, I've been playing Street Fighter for over 20 over 25 20 no 26 years. I've been playing Street Fighter, and it's only when I got to I feel like the last generation with like the Street Fighter 4 becoming competitive, that's the only time I've ever heard a lot of the terminology of frame data and fuzzy guards and all that. Like before then, it was just, oh, you're just gonna pick up the sticks and play. Now I
think that's as well become, it was like a rise of the internet, you know, like, you know, it was more readily accessible and stuff, like, so people are like sharing knowledge online and stuff, and there's a lot of tutorials out there and stuff, and there's some really cool people out there like walking you through the baby steps of all of these terminologies and stuff. I know I've been watching like Born Free and stuff on his Twitch channel. Like he's got people on there like teaching him basics at the moment, you know. He's had like James Chen and people on there. It's like, it's cool, like it's fun. Like he's had all these like high level players coming on and be like, okay, this is how you do this, you know, and this is what you need to do to combat that, and this is your anti-air, and this is, so there are people out there kind of giving tutorial style stuff out there to lower level players. So,
and I have to give a shout out to Aegis Neglector on Twitter. He's also known as a Coach Butler. He's actually the voice actor for Shibasaki. He does a lot of tutorials and training. So if you ever want to get better at Street Fighter 5, he always does training sessions. I'm actually going to do one with him in probably like an hour or two, because he wants to play a Cody, and I am self-declared the best Cody player in Hawaii, but then I'm the only Cody player in Hawaii I've ever played. So, so shout out to my friend Mike DeBonis, aka the Aegis Neglector, aka Coach Butler, aka Shibasaki. That's my cheap plug for the day, people.
AKA.
All right.
AKAs has he got? That's cool, man.
I know, right?
Not that many AKAs.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you're known as what? This, and okay.
Nice. Wow, that's cool.
So my true final question, because I lied about the last one.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Hit me.
Did you have fun?
No. Of course I had fun. It was awesome. Actually, this was like an amazing experience. I'm absolutely so thankful for you having me here talking about absolute rubbish. No, it's been amazing, and I'm pleased you popped my podcast cherry. You've been an amazing host, and I thank you for it. You were very kind, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been really cool. I kind of forgot that we're like talking actually on air.
I know, right?
Just like hanging out. This is kind of the thing, you know. I'm like, oh no, snap! People are actually listening to this. I have to like, what do I say? No swearing.
No, you can. Like this show is purely organic, so whatever comes to mind, like whatever you want to say, you can.
Shit, balls. Start doing my Gordon Ramsay. I've been watching a lot of Hell's Kitchen. They just put it up on Netflix here. So yeah, fucking idiot, fucking love him. Just like I just want to go like be shouted at by Gordon Ramsay like just once in my life. It's like bucket list thing, you know.
Do it,
moron. Yeah.
Like every time I get somebody on my show, like every voice actor, they're like, "Is this a PG show or can I say anything?" I'm like, "Say whatever you want to say. I don't care." Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, like, because I'm an actor here in Paris, so like I do like that kind of stuff as well. So I need to actually start talking to people about doing like voice over stuff. I need to get into that because they make a lot of games here in Paris. So I know people that do it, and I'm just like, they're always like, "Do your voice reel?" I'm like, because I do voice stuff for Disney here. So because I work at Disneyland Paris, so I do voice stuff for them here. I do character voice stuff with them here. And they're like, "Dude, it's totally you. You should go and do video games in Paris." I'm like, I'm lazy. I can't be bothered to like, you know, do a voice reel. I should do it. I should do it. But one day. I've got too many other projects. That's the problem. It's like so hard to focus on everything. So but it's fun. It's fun, but maybe one day. I've got friends that have done video games and stuff, so maybe Street Fighter 6.
I mean, I'd love to see it happen.
I'd love it.
Just saying. I will say this though: if you want to, if you do start doing interviews with voice actors, since I know I can send a lot of people your way, connect you with a lot of people.
Yeah,
or if you're on Facebook, I could add you and drop you into the group chat I have with a bunch of Street Fighter voice actors.
Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
But yeah, man, yeah. I'll definitely add you. And yeah, if you ever need help with like editing or anything like that, if you do a YouTube, let me know. I'd help you out. I believe what you're doing.
I'm okay with everything. I actually oh god, no, I'm not gonna go into this.
Do it. Say whatever it is.
No. I edited my friend here. Oh god, this is so embarrassing. I'm not gonna I have talked about this before. But my friend here in France, he does like French rap, but he does like comedy French rap. He's like funny. And he released a video on YouTube and it like went viral here in France. So he got signed by Sony at the time.
Holy crap.
And he was like, "Oh, Sony want me to like pump out an album." And he was like, "Okay." So he was like working on the tracks. And he was like, "I want to do a song that's like half in French and half in English." And I was like, "Oh, okay." He was like, "Oh, I can help you with like lyrics and stuff if you want me to help you like write something." And he was like, no, I want you to do it with me. I was like, "I do not rap." I was like, "I do not rap." He was like, no, it'll be fun. So he made me do this thing. And we recorded this song. And I had like, it was the weirdest thing ever. I like came home and like I opened my thing and it was like I had this like contract from like Sony. It was like I had to sign this thing for like the rights because I'd written the lyrics to my half of the song, you know? Like,
yeah.
I was like, don't know what I'm doing. Like, why is this happening to me? And he had like budget for the things, but he was like, "I really want to do a video for our song." I was like, "Okay." So we did it with a GoPro and ourselves, and we like shot half of it in Paris and half of it in London. We went on the Eurostar and like did both, but it is on YouTube. So there's me rapping on YouTube.
Should I drop that in description below?
You can if you want. he gave me, because he's called Charlie. He's one of my best mates, but he goes by the rap name Jean Flock, and he always calls me Pikachu because he knows I love Pokemon. So he's always like Pikachu. So when he was like, "Oh, what's your rap name gonna be?" and I was like, "I don't know." And he was like, "Oh, it's gotta be Pikachu. It's gotta be Pikachu." I was like, "Okay." So I am Pikachu. So, but yeah, it's out there, kids. Just type in Jean Flock Pikachu, and you'll find it. It's cringe, but it's funny. It was a lot of fun to do. So, but he doesn't really have a clue about editing, so he was like, "Oh, you do it." So I did the editing on that one, but it's not like a million jump cuts. It's like a bit I know my way around Final Cut, so I'm sorted on that one.
Well, I definitely need to see this video. You got to share the link with
me. No. I don't. That's why I was like, I'm not going to talk about this. I was like, screw it. I don't mind. People can laugh at me.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I need to definitely have you back on the podcast because I see behind you. I've been eyeing it out the whole time.
Oh, my wallpaper.
Yeah, I can tell you're Marvel. You might like comics. I'm just assuming. I think you do. I could be wrong.
I've lived in so many like house shares and things like over the years, and when I finally like got the money together like to buy my own apartment kind of thing, I was like, I'm gonna put things on the walls, because it's always like you're not allowed to put any holes in the walls, and like so you're always like putting up a poster, like making sure it's not going to rip the paint off and stuff, like so you don't lose your deposit. So when I moved into here, I was like, I'm gonna get some freaking wallpaper, I'm gonna put it up. And I saw this and it was like 50 bucks on eBay, and it's I mean, like, I don't know if you can see it, but it's
nice.
It's kind of the whole shebang. It goes like floor to ceiling. It's just I just did one wall because otherwise I think it'd be a bit much, but it's a real talking because it's so oversized. It looks really cool. So I really loved it, and I had to get I was gonna. This is really grown up talk now, but I was gonna remortgage my apartment because I wanted to get a better rate on my mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
And the bank were like, "Oh, you have to get like an appraisal from the estate agents to see how much it's worth." So I had to pretend I was selling it, otherwise they would charge me to do it. So I was like, "Oh yes, I'm selling it. How much is it worth?" kind of thing. And the guy came round, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, like if I sold it, I would obviously like take this down." And he was like, "Oh no, leave it." He's like, "I love it," and he's like, "This will get people in to look at it because it's so like." If we took photos of your apartment to sell it in online and stuff, like he's like, people would be like, "Oh, the guy with the Marvel wallpaper," because it's so weird, like nobody else has got this. It's always like cream on gray on cream, in everyone's apartments at the moment, like the trendy stuff. And he's like, this would sell it, even if people wanted to rip it down, they'd probably come in just to have a look at it. So I was like, oh, cool. So I know now if I ever move out and I want to sell this place, I don't have to rip it down. But I love it, and a lot of people do. But yeah, I'm a big I love Marvel, and I'm kind of a fan of everything, like Marvel, Disney, like I'm crazy about it all pretty much. Pokemon, like we were talking about the new Pokemon I've been playing. Everyone's like, "Oh, let's do some lobbies on Street Fighter 5." I'm like, yeah, like, I'm in Kanto right now. I can't. I'm like, I'm busy. I'm trying to get a Chansey. I'm trying to get my shiny Chansey right now.
Well, we're definitely gonna have to play.
Yeah, definitely. I'll send you my Switch code. Yeah, I'm busy. Like honestly, like since the Switch came out, I've been on it. Like that's been my console for the last like year and a half. Like Breath of the Wild, and then straight onto like things like Splatoon. I'm like a massive Splatoon fan. I love that. And like Mario Kart and unfortunately, like I was saying earlier, like I've got a freaking awful upload speed on my internet. So when I play online on Twitch, I can't, some games are okay. Like Street Fighter, I can play and it won't compete. But if I play Splatoon or Mario Kart, like it just drops my frames to like nothing, you know? So I'm just like, oh, so all the games that I'll sit and grind at for hours, I can't play on Twitch. So I'm like, it's really annoying. And then I'm always like, oh yeah, I'll come and play Street Fighter for like a couple of hours. Like, but I think I have done a couple of tournaments on my channel though. We did one for Insurgo Skateboard. It was really good actually, and we had some really, really amazing players came through. Sonic, do you know Sonic Soul?
Yeah, yeah.
He won at the end. He was just like,
wow.
Death to everyone with my Nash. Like he was just like obliterated everyone. But yeah, we had some really, really cool players. We did it over like 4 weeks. Like we did it every Sunday. So we did like 3 preliminary rounds. And then we got like a top 6. And then it was like 1st to 10 wins. So
awesome.
It was a lot of fun. So I hopefully we'll do another one of them because I like to do prizes and stuff. That's one thing I work on pretty hard is like getting freebies. Because I get the companies now come and they're like, hey, will you promote my product? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but you have to give us a free one to give away to the followers because that's, you know, I don't want to end up, you know, I don't care about like, I don't get paid for the ads or whatever. I just want a free one for people to, because I feel like that's, you know, it's cool to win something on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or whatever, you know, like it's cool. But we did they actually were really nice and they sent me one this time, but they sent me the Bulky's Bison. Ooh. Big Boys Toys. We did that like last week before, but I've just recently partnered with Arcade Shop. So we have a fight stick giveaway coming very soon.
I want to be on that.
Fight stick. Yeah. So yeah, keep your eyes on Street Fighter Legacy for announcements on that because I think they said holiday season. I think it's like kind of maybe starting next week. So. Okay.
Cool. And where can people find you?
People can find me personally, PeteFighter, on my Instagram or Twitter or on Twitch. I do have a Twitch channel. I try to be on active. I kind of lurk in other people's Twitch rooms more than I'm on my own. I do stream when I can. I was streaming a lot of Red Dead when that came out. I was really enjoying that. But now Pokemon's come out. I'm like, Red Dead what? Yeah, let's go Pokemon. I'm really bad at finishing games. That's my worst thing. I'll start something and then I never finish it. Like I would say I think I've got like 91% of Spider-Man done. But then Red Dead came out. I was like, next. And then I started Red Dead. And then I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm loving this. I'm loving it. Oh, Pokemon's out now. So I know if I don't, I've got to grind on Pokemon, finish it before Smash comes out. Because otherwise it'll be like, Smash. Like, I'm really bad. It's always like the next thing. I'm really bad. But yes, anyway, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitch. And then obviously on the major channels of Street Fighter Legacy and RivalSchoolsLegacy and Darkstalkers Legacy. So.
All right. And links to everything is down in the description below of this video and this podcast. So make sure you go there and you stalk them. Tell them Mekel sent you.
Send me weird messages. People send me weird messages all the time. I love it. So.
You know, it's truly been an honor having you on the show, man. I love your energy; it's infectious, and I just love how easy it was to reach out to you and to get you on the show. It's
oh yeah, it's been a pleasure. I was like, podcast, yeah, I want to do that. There you go. So what the things it was like? Get shouted at by Gordon Ramsay. I haven't done that one yet, but. Bucket list for podcast done. Cherry, it's been done. It's happening. It's done.
Dude, I think you would have an amazing podcast if you ever did one. I think it would be awesome.
I think that's
the energy, man.
I feel like if my internet speed was a lot better, I would be doing it all the time. But it's so irregular and so like. You know, like nobody wants to come in and watch a podcast or like anything that's being exported in like 240p. Like they're like this grainy as fuck. I don't care. You know, like they're like off. Like so as soon as like France blesses me with fiber optic, then I feel like I'm gonna have a lot stronger online presence, and I'll be able to do things like you are. And you know, that's the thing. I've only got my laptop at the moment, but I'd like to get a tower PC and stuff. But I'm not going to invest thousands of euros in something that is going to export in like 320. You know, like what's the point? You know, so I'm like, for the moment, I'm doing the best I can. I try to do a lot of Instagram lives. I do a lot of Instagram lives, just sort of answering questions and hanging out and, you know, talking and, you know, showing people stuff and talking about whatever people want to talk about, really. But I do that quite a lot and stuff. And then obviously on my Twitch channel, I like hang out and stuff, but it's mainly just my friends. Shout out to the crew. Fran, Zombie, Caesar Leo, what's up, guys? Speed. Those guys kind of come and support me. That's one, going back on what you said, like if people want to get into stuff like that, you know, definitely try and fall in with like a cool group, like especially online. Like those guys, I don't think I would have got as far as I did on Twitch without them. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like they made it so fun that they made me want to stream, you know, because I wanted to hang out with them. It was more that I just wanted to hang out with that group of people and stuff that that made me want to stream more. And when they're streaming, like I'll sit and watch their streams all the time, you know, like when I'm going, because we're on such weird time zones, like as I'm going to bed, like I'll have them on and I'll just like listen to them playing like Resident Evil or Zombies playing Spyro at the moment. So I like listen to them and stuff. It's really like, it's cool to like hang out with them, even though it's virtually, but yeah, when you get into like a little group like that, everyone's so supportive. Twitch is a really amazing place. It's kind of new for me. I've only been doing it for like, I think like 6 months, and not as regularly as I'd like to, but they made it really welcoming, and it's a lot of fun, Twitch, like, but it's new for me. I didn't really realize I could do it, and then I was like, oh, actually, I could do this, you know, like, because I didn't really. I'm quite tech savvy, but I didn't realize that when you broadcast, like, it went straight to Twitch. I was like, oh, I do have a Twitch channel that I set up just to watch, like Capcom Cup and stuff like that. And then I was like, oh, so I logged in, and then I like was like export gameplay. I was like, oh, it's working, and then I like checked, and I was like, oh, it's coming through relatively clear. Oh, it could work. So, because I always kind of wrote it off because of my internet connection. So, but now I know it kind of works. Then I've kind of been branching out into it a little bit more.
Nice.
Cool piece. Yeah. So, are you going to be at Capcom Cup? Are you going to make your way over?
I am, if I can get off from work, because my work has been really taking a toll on me. If I can get off, I will be there. If not,
make it happen. Make it happen. You're sick.
I know. I only have.
I'm going to be sick between the 14th and the 16th of December. Man. I feel like the only way I could get better is if I go to Vegas.
You know, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm probably gonna get in trouble because sometimes my work does watch my podcast or listen to it.
No. He's a good boy.
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say this. Sometimes I feel like having a salary, especially when it's in a field that you do not love, when they have you stuck in a contract, like I have a 2-year contract and I'm coming to the end of it. Sometimes it feels like just torture.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you leave, you're gonna have to pay $10,000 if unless you stay through your contract. I'm like,
yeah. We'll bleep that part out. They'll never hear it.
I will be a lot happier once August next year happens and I'm no longer contracted, because there's no work-life balance.
Yeah. It's a grind, dude. Yeah, it's grueling. Your hours. When you told me your schedule, I was like, oh. I was like, dude, I thought I was bad. I was like, my 8 hours a day, like.
I was like, yeah, I got I'll be off, and I'm doing a 16-hour shift, and then I got a rotation, and then you're like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. I worked for Disney Cruise Line for like a year. They sent me on the cruise because they were opening a new ship and they needed someone to do the show that I do here, like on the ship. And they were like, so I got sent to do it. And dude, like they worked me so hard. I was like, I've never in my life, I think it was like, I can't even remember how many hours, but I was doing like 16-hour days like that. I was just like, oh my God. Like when you're not doing one thing, you're doing another. And they're like, oh, but what days off did you get? I was like, oh, none. In like a year, I had no days off. I had hours off to sleep. Like by law, they only have to give you 6 hours back to back to sleep, but it can be any time of the day. So it's like, your sleep time can be from like 3 p.m. till like whenever. And then, I was like so happy to get back to Disneyland Paris. I was like, oh my God, for my normal hours with 2 days off a week, I was like, yeah, it was a lot. It was a good experience and I really enjoyed it. If you're listening, Disney, but I did enjoy it. But I'm much happier being back on land and back with in the land of the French. The French work laws. It's a lot easier because they can only work you so hard here. So
see, and that's for me why I'm at this point now where like when August comes around and I find something else, I'm fine with 8 hours. 8 hours is fine. 16
hours
17.
Yeah.
16 17 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week.
Especially when you're doing all of this other stuff online, like all your online presence as well, and like all your podcasts and all that stuff as well. Like that's the thing. I think like people that, especially people want to get into this kind of stuff, they don't understand what a grind this is as well.
Yeah.
Like I'm constantly, when I get home, I start my second job,
Yeah.
I have some time for myself, yes. I'll like play games and stuff or whatever, but like I'm constantly like writing emails, replying to this person, and then like people are like in like DMing me and stuff, and they're like, oh, what do you think of this? Hey, look at this picture. Oh, and you're like trying to reply to everyone. It's like it's a lot of work, and like I love it. That's why I do it. But I always say, oh, I've got to go and start my second job now. Like I'm always like, it's a lot. Like it is a grind. So like you're a machine, dude. I don't know how you're doing it. Like doing I struggle with 8 hours and doing like an Instagram account. You're doing like full on talk shows online. Like I doff my hat to you because I don't know how you're doing it. You're a legend. This guy, I don't know where you are on the screen.
3 hours of sleep a day.
Yeah, brilliant, dude. I can't believe you've got so much energy. It must be that aloha spirit.
It has to be that.
The aloha spirit.
All right. Well, people, make sure you go and you follow Pete on all his outlets, as well as the Street Fighter Legacy and the Rival Schools Legacy and the Dark Circles Legacy. All the links for everything is down in the description below this video and this podcast. So make sure you go and stalk him and tell him I sent you.
Yeah.
But don't do anything crazy. No crazy messages.
Let's not get too crazy, kids. Come on, guys. Like, people have sent me some crazy stuff. So, yeah. Like, what? I'm sure you've had it as well. You're like,
I've had some crazy shit sent to me, and I'm like,
yeah, you're just like, oh, just like sent your message. Thanks for that. But I mean, like, I'm not even talking like, I'm not even saying like weird, like dirty stuff. It's just like people will send me like pictures of their like cat and stuff like that. Like, here's my cat, and I'm like, Cool. Okay. Like, it's sweet. Like, I love reading that, but it's just always like, it just comes out of the blue. It's not like ever like any, you know, like, hey, do you like animals? Oh yeah, I love animals. Oh, do you like cats? Yeah, cool. It's just like, here's my cat. Look at it. Okay. Or, like, really weird stuff. I'm like, I'm not going to go into specifics of what people are like. But it's fun. It's fun. It's all fun and games. It's all fun and games.
All right, and people, you'll be able to find this podcast, the Mekel Kasanova podcast. I almost couldn't say my own podcast name. Good Lord. That means I need a nap.
Someone needs a nap.
Oh, man. So you'll be able to find, you know, because I even today, I only got like 2-3 hours of sleep.
Dude. Oh, my God.
Right. Like, people don't realize, like, besides the podcast, you know, all the stuff I had to put on social media, plus the games I have to review, the embargoes, and I still have to do work stuff over the weekend. Sleep, what's that? I'm 30 and I feel like I'm turning 50.
Right. Right. We'll do another podcast, me and you, but you just nap through the whole thing. And I'll read the questions out. Like, I'll do my best impression of you. I'll kind of like be like, oh, so what do you think of? This is a really bad. I'm not doing a really good one. I need to like study your voice a little bit more. I'll be like, oh, so I can't do it. But like, what do you think of Thingo? So I'll do it like all. I think this is in the corner sleeping.
You're like, Mekel, what do you think it is?
Yeah. Fine. You just start the stream. All you have to do is start it, set like an hour and a half timer on it, and then like it's done. It's a plan, Stan.
All right. Well, people, you'll be able to find the Mekel Kasanova podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Google Play Music, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and very soon we'll actually starting next year. We will be on XM Radio as well as Sirius FM. We signed a contract, so we'll have weekly syndicated episodes. And going forward, it started last week for my interview with Christopher Smith, the voice of G and Rufus and many other characters. Every single Wednesday, you'll get a new episode on iTunes and Spotify and all that. And then for live episodes, it's whenever I can schedule it, whenever my guest is free, whenever I'm free, whenever I'm not sleeping, which I'm rarely ever sleeping. You'll get a new episode. And and we'll definitely, if you guys enjoyed it, please make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. I'm a very small podcaster in the sea of podcasts, even though #1 Hawaii, there's not a lot of competition.
Hawaii?
Yes. But there's not a lot of competition out here, so it's like
I'm gonna go and I'm gonna start one. You got competition. I'm moving to Hawaii next week. I'm gonna do it like fun. I'm like, I'm #2 podcast.
But yeah, you know, and as far as like streaming and YouTube, I'm very small in that sense, but I do it because I love it, you know. And it's a passion, you know. I love talking to guests like Pete and all the voice actors and other people I've had on the show, and it's fun for me. It's a good stress reliever, especially with the type of work I do. It helps.
But that's why people should get into this kind of thing. Like, people shouldn't do it to, like, you know, like become an influencer or be famous or, you know, like all that kind of, like, there's a lot of people that are like, you see them out there and they're just grinding to like get that like notoriety, but you can kind of see through that when people are just doing it because they want to have fun and they're just like enjoying it. That's what I feel is like more genuine and people respond to better, you know, like when they're just like, yeah, you like it, you like it. If you don't, shut up.
Yeah.
Get out. So yeah, I think if you're doing what you love, then people respond to that in a positive way. And you're doing a great job, man. #1 in Hawaii. Hawaii.
Oh,
I wore it special.
I gotta sing you some of the other snapbacks. Like we got some information. I think they made a couple new Street Fighter shirts, dude. I'll send them to you.
Oh, they've got yeah. I know information because they work very closely with Insurgo, who made this, because this is an Insurgo information like collab. So yeah, I do follow what information they're doing. I follow them on Instagram. They do some cool stuff, man. I feel like I need to just come and like kick it with you and Tay and everybody in Hawaii. I think like Hawaii life would be for me.
Dude, I think you would love it if you came out.
Oh, dude, I'm like, I would love it. Like, let's just say, like, the character that I'm friends with, that's the correct terminology, is a Hawaiian blue alien. So I had to do a lot of research. You know who I'm talking about. I haven't said
do.
Anything, but you know who I'm talking about. And so obviously I'm surrounded by Hawaii, and I have to say a lot of Hawaiian things, like a lot. So so I feel like I'm always living the aloha spirit every day, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like it's a dream destination for me, because I'm like, especially because of that, like, as well, you know? It's obviously a dream destination for millions of people, but I feel like I'm quite, especially because of that character, I feel like I'm quite, I need to go there and experience it for myself, you know, and walk in his footsteps.
Well, if you ever do come out here, you got people. You got people.
Yeah,
you got me, Tay.
Yeah, my very first roommate, in London, she was attending a drama school, and she was from Hawaii as well. So she's always like, come. But she lives in New York now. She's like doing stuff on Broadway and stuff. But she was from Hawaii. So I was like, but like, I know her mum, and her mum's always like, oh, come stay with us. I'm like, oh, I want to. But it's so far, and it's so expensive. Like it's a long way. It's a real long way. I mean, like, it's far to get to like LA. I think it's like 14 hours from here to LA, and then it's like the additional.
Yeah, it's 18 hours for you to get here, right?
Yeah, it was like an additional 6, isn't it, from LA?
6 hours, yeah.
Yeah, 5, 6. So I mean, like, yeah, the travel time would just be like, it would be like 2 days just to get there. I mean, it would definitely be worth it, but
you'd be jet lagged for the first week. You need 2 weeks out here, 1 week to recover and 1 week to enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I definitely, it's definitely going to happen at some point. I'm going to be there. I'm going to make it one day. I definitely will make it out to Hawaii, but at the moment, cons are my my next one. I'm having to sort of beg work to be off on certain days. Luckily, they were nice enough to give me Capcom Cup off, so I managed to think. Thank you to everyone that thank you to everyone that helped with the GoFundMe for my Capcom Cup flight. That was super nice. Thank you so much. Brittany Harvey, like, sent me some money. Her sister, who also does voiceovers for numerous cartoons, and a lot of the thing. Travis from FGC Hawaii, thank you so much. Jevon, like, Mike, everyone that donated. It was super nice, and I was super humbled. Is that a word? That's right. Touched by everyone's generosity for that, because doing that, I mean, I paid the other cons out of my own money, and it's expensive because I had to come for like a month to do Evo and Comic Con. It was like 3.5 weeks, so it was, you know, time off work and, you know, hotels and all that stuff. It's like,
yeah,
it's expensive. When you're in the country, it's real expensive. So so now, yeah, the Capcom Cup, I will be there. Look for me, and you'll get a Blanka Chan pin.
I will do my best to get there.
I'll send you a pin. I'll send you a pin regardless. I got one for you, so I won't. I'll send it out to you. I'm gonna send one today as well. I've got to.
All right. All right, and people, that wraps up another episode. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll have this up on Twitch And make sure you catch it on any of the podcasting outlets, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Play Music, Spotify. We're really just trying to organically grow the show. I don't get paid for any of this, and I just this is a hobby. I just want this to grow. So thank you, Pete, so much. It's truly been an honor to have you on the show.
Oh, yeah, awesome. Anytime, dude. Have me back on. I'll just come in and I'll just jump in and like whoever you got on, I'll just come in and give them like.
Dude, I was actually trying to get Cole, because Michael Coleman, usually when he's free, he'll just hop on a podcast. So I think he's leaving. He's probably left Maryland to go back to LA. But yeah, like my podcast with Tay.
I saw his. We're supposed to be wrapping this up, and then we keep restarting the podcast. This is going to be the longest one ever. But what happened to his face? I saw on Instagram. He's got like a big cut. Like
he had a procedure done to. It was a skin cancer. They had to cut it out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So he. I think this is the second time he's had a procedure done, and hopefully they cut it all out.
Yeah. I wish it must be the recovery.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah, because I thought he'd like, I thought he'd been like attacked by a bear or something. It was like big, like.
It was pretty big.
Big, like, I mean, it looks cool as fuck, but I mean, like, but I mean, like, I was like, oh man, because he didn't obviously say like what had happened, but he just was like, oh yeah, got the stitches. I was like, oh man. Whew.
Yeah, I definitely I want to do another podcast with you, Coleman, and Tay. I think that would be awesome.
Oh yeah, like that would actually be quite fun.
I wouldn't have to say anything. I'd just be like,
yeah. Me and Tay can share our horror stories from Evo. She actually texted me yesterday, and she was like, "So we're doing Evo again?" I was like, "Oh, we're doing like roomies again." So I think because she was originally supposed to room with one of her friends, but then she dropped out or something, and I'd already booked my room for Evo, so she was just like, because she was like really, because it was her first one as well. She was like, she didn't know if she was gonna like get there and like nobody was gonna buy anything, because it's a lot of money to like, especially for them to be a vendor there. It's a lot of money. So she was like, that getting the table and the thing and the flight and the hotel, and she was like, do you mind if I share a room with you? And I was like, no. I was like, so I went on and checked, because I had like a double bed, and I was like, I'll get like the two twins, like, because as much as me and Tay get on, I don't know if she's gonna want to like jump into bed with me on first meeting. it's a bit awkward, So the room. And it was kind of weird because I did it through Expedia, and like because I changed it to like a double thing, it actually saved me like $100. Like they knocked $100 off my bill. So she was like, "Oh, how much do I owe you?" And I was like, "Nothing. You've saved me $100 by coming in the room with me." So I was like, "Dude, it's on me. Like, have a good Evo." Do you know what I mean? And she was paying out so much money for the table and everything. So like, it was a big ask for her. Like. But she did well with that, Cody. I can't wait to see what's her follow up to that, because it's going to be a tough act to follow. That was a good one. That was a good one. I don't know who's going to be next. Who would you want to see on a body pillow? That's the question.
I would love to see a Chun-Li.
A Chun?
I want to see a Chun.
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of Chun ones. I'm sure I've seen a Chun-Li one.
What about Laura?
Laura would be good, yeah. I haven't seen a lot of merchandise for her. Like, that's the one thing that somebody said to me is like, when people are talking about like just going random. God, we're starting again. Sorry, we ended this podcast like 500 times. When people are saying like, oh, who do you think like is going to be in like season 4 or stuff, I'm like, look at the merchandise. Like somebody said, like, just look at the merchandise. Like, look at what's coming out. Because they know ahead of time. They know. Like the people making the merch, that and especially if they're officially licensed products, they know who is going to be coming out. So just look at merchandise. Like, I know that was it in Sergo, they switched because they were going to do Sakura skateboard, but they switched it for Ibuki because Ibuki was getting added. And then they were like, oh, we know Sakura is going to be like next year. So they like added it the next year. So it was like tied in. So like these companies, like they know. So like look at merchandise. What's coming out, what's hot, what's being pumped out, and it'll give you an indication of who might be coming. So anyway, that wraps up my summary for the Are we going to officially end this? I'm just going to hang up.
Oh, no, don't hang up. I'll end it and end the live part, and then we can talk some more after.
I'll stop because I keep starting. I just like...
Dude, I feel bad because don't you have to work today? And it's like after midnight?
Yeah, I usually start streaming on Twitch at this time. It's fine. We good.
Oh, okay.
I usually stream late because like all of my friends start streaming around this time. So I usually stream from like midnight till like 3 a.m. my time. And then I go to work. So this is early for me. We good. We can go for another 2 hours. No, we're not going to because you need a nap. Someone needs a nap. Right.
And food. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten.
Yeah, I'm just going to put Bison here.
All right, people.
I'm just going to move out frame and just like...
All right, people. We're graced with the presence of Lord Bison right there. And that wraps up another episode of the... The Thai Lord in the chat is like, no, keep going. And Blanka Chan's taking over Pete's stream. Oh, man. Okay, people, really, seriously, this time, I think so. Maybe not. But that wraps up another episode of the Mekel Kasanova podcast, Hawaii's #1 podcast. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, and make sure you catch us on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, I forgot the list of other ones. I've said it enough times already. Rewind it, you'll know.
Rewind. Do you have a jingle? Do you have a jingle for the end?
Cody's theme.
He's a Spotify. Yeah. Ooh, #1 in Hawaii. You didn't have a jingle. You've got one now.
I got one now.
You're welcome.
On that note, people, we'll catch y'all in the next one.
Goodbye.